Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
This is Jessie from Club Venus from Stardom, and you're watching Stardom Cast.
Hello guys and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by my friend, your friend, he's all of our friends, it's Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, the question the world wants to know is, have you finally calmed down from Saya Kamitani's turn?
Rob Goodwin, members, the family of the Stardom Cast Army. Not only have I calmed down, my friend, I just want to give everybody a heads up at the beginning of this episode. To everybody that has tuned in to hopefully hear a second week in a row of evil, angry Matt Turner, I apologize because you will not be getting any of that today.
Yeah.
The happy-go-lucky, super positive, super I love Stardom Matt Turner is here and here to stay. And I did get a lot of people that sent me messages and emails saying how much they loved my rant on the absolutely horrible booking idea for the Saya Kamitani heels turn, which I thought I was just like, again, that is very, and I went back and I listened to the episode a few days after we recorded. I'm like, man, that was not like me at all. But regardless, a lot of people enjoyed that. So if you're tuning in to get that, you will not, for several reasons. Number one, we have a phenomenal show to talk about with one of the best Artist of Stardom Championship matches, maybe the best Artist of Stardom Championship match that we have seen since last year's All-Star Grand Queendom. We have a really good match from Sorryism to talk about, and of course, Rob Goodwin, the main crux of this episode is our 5-star Grand Prix primer. I'm super excited to go over all the picks, not only your picks and my picks, but Amber sent in her picks.
Oh, wow.
Andy Header sent in his picks, and then a friend of the show, Karen Peterson, she sent in some predictions as well. So if there isn't a reason, so if you're like, I don't know, I want heel Matt Turner, I want hate Matt Turner, I apologize, you won't get him. However, you're going to get picks from not only myself, not only from the one and only Rob Goodwin, but my lovely bride Amber, the one and only Andy Header, and the fantastic Karen Peterson. So that should be a reason to stick along for this podcast episode, which will probably go somewhere around the 2-hour mark. I'm willing to bet some money on, brother. But yes, I'm all calmed down. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for obviously podcasting with you, my friend. It's one of the highlights of my week. And I'm super excited for the fact that we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Stardom shows that by Monday night that we are going to try to watch. So, but hey, we're all here for it, my friend. We are all here for it.
Absolutely. In the words of a great singer whose name I can't remember, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's 5-star season. It's literally, and I texted you with this earlier today, I think the 5-star preview and primer might be my favorite episode that we do annually. So, yeah, we've got so much to cram in to this episode. Our primer, I would bet, is probably the most stacked and detail-orientated primer out there. Certainly the most detail-orientated that we've ever done. So stick around for that. Obviously, you want to see Amber beat out 2 people who watch this product religiously without even watching, so that's always something fun. Matt, I have a little confession to make. I have made no picks whatsoever.
Well, sir.
Well, there is a reason.
For now.
Well, yes.
Okay.
There is a reason for this. Now, I don't know if anyone else who listens to this podcast is the same, but whenever I go to a restaurant and I get overfaced with with the sheer volume of lovely, yummy things on the menu, I will often do what's called a danger order, which is when I know that there are these 15 items on this 20-item menu that I would like to have. Can't choose between them. I'm going to wait for the waitress to show up, and then I'm just going to see what my mouth comes out with. More often than not, I've found I work better under those circumstances. I've had some lovely meals. I've had some absolute tripe as well, but there we are. In France, I did once order what I thought was a meat platter. It was not. It was a huge cubic mound of pate. It was absolutely disgusting. So there have been some swing and misses, but I've found I work better under this. So I'm literally going to be working off adrenaline. Now, as we've seen from other predictions, where I've gone with Azumi for perhaps the last 3 Cinderella tournaments until I finally got one right this year, it doesn't always work, and when I go with my heart, I inevitably get it wrong. But we'll see how this goes, Matt, because I feel like there's one choice that everyone seems to be steering towards, and then there's the rest of the field. So it's going to be really interesting to see where Stardom go, because in one sense, this 5-star Grand Prix, especially with the events that we've just seen unfold, might have made the tournament a little bit more predictable. However, you can also argue that with the unpredictability of some of Stardom's booking recently, they have made this tournament even more unpredictable. So I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to go through it. If you are brand new listeners to the podcasters, I know that we have had quite a few who've said hello in the Discord. If you are one of those, hello. If you have never been a part of Stardom during the 5-star Grand Prix and you're here to hear all about it, stick around, and after we've gone through our Hamamatsu review and all of the news coming out of Stardom and Marigold this week, we will walk you through the tournament, our picks, and basically if you want to win some merch as well, we have got a Pick'ems contest right there on Patreon. Entries for that close at the end of the 9th of August, so literally midnight, 9th of August, because of course on Saturday we have that first night, that stacked first night of the 5-star Grand Prix, Matt.
Yeah, super excited for that. If that night won, and obviously we'll get into it. Holy jeez. I mean, I think there's 14 matches, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's 8 or 9 matches that can break the 4-star mark as far as my Stardom scale rating just on night one. And we've seen Stardom do this over the last 3 or 4 years where they really like stacking that night one, and it's a great way to start the tournament. So I'm really excited for it. I know that there was a certain big show from $1 billion company this past weekend, which I actually watched from start to finish. It's the first time I've actually sat on my couch and watched a WWE show start to finish in quite some time, that a lot of people were complaining there was too many angles and not enough wrestling. I'm not going to say I agree with you. I'm not going to say I disagree with you. But if you have that feeling, if you're like, there just wasn't enough actual in-ring wrestling, folks, I got the cure for you. I got the cure for you this Saturday with this 5-star Grand Prix, because you're going to get a lot of wrestling. And, man, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So well, before we get into all of this regarding our 5-star primer, the show reviews, the news, the primer, by the way, all of the notes that myself and Matt will be using for this primer, I am going to be putting up on Twitter as part of what can only be described as an uber mega thread. That will be live on Twitter tomorrow. Well, today, I suppose, as you're listening to this on the free feed, at 5 a.m. So please go and check it out and sort of look at some of the stats for yourselves as well. But before that, Matt Turner, let's talk a little bit about our Patreon. What is coming up this week?
Our alternate commentary from this week that we just released takes us to the 5-star Grand Prix 2 years ago, as Starlight Kid takes on one Hazuki in what is described as an absolute hidden gem, in my opinion, the greatest 5-star tournament in the history of Stardom. That was just a really, really good match. And the Hazuki hits and kicks keep on coming. See what I did there, partner?
Love
See
it.
what I did there?
Love it, brother.
You can tell I'm ready to. It is the most wonderful time of the year. As we go to the 5-star Grand Prix last year, one of your picks, my friend, that'll be on the Patreon next week as our alternate commentary, as Shuri takes on Hazuki. So that was a really, really good match. And again, a hidden gem from last year's 5-star Grand Prix from two hard hitters. So that'll be on the Patreon feed for next week, as well as our tag team breakdown. I will be joined once again by my good friend and tag partner, Andy Header, as we do a tag team breakdown, but we're upping the ante. We're upping the difficulty a little bit here, Rob Goodwin, as we will not be watching a straight up 2-on-2 tag match. Oh no, Artist of Stardom Championships, 3 versus 3. My Himipoi, Maika, Himika, and Natsupoi defending the Artists of Stardom Championships against the Oedo-Tai team of Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, and Saki Kashima. So that'll be on in your Patreon feeds, I'm going to say sometime next, either Thursday or Friday. I was going to record with Andy on Monday, but he had the gall to go to the beach and take a vacation for the week. So I let it pass because I'm a charitable man and I'm a forgiving man. But no, I think I'm going to record with him early next week, and hopefully that'll be on your Patreon feed by next Friday and Saturday. So that's just basically a few things that we have coming up on the Patreon and a few things that we dropped, as well as, we're going to be loading in a lot of really good stuff for August. Andy's going to be on a couple times. Obviously, we have the return of Alice in Danger, and then we have a lot of really cool retrospectives that we're doing on the free feed that not only will be recording, but some stuff from the vault as well. So to say that is a loaded month here on the Stardom Cast and the Marigold Standard is an understatement, my friend. So I'm really looking forward to all the content that we'll be pumping out here in the month of August.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to give a massive shout out to Ryan McGlade, who has joined our high speed tier, and Timothy Hatton and Orchard, who have joined as free members on our Patreon. Orchard, I believe I have spoken to on Discord. So hello, Orchard. I hope you're doing well. Just going back to what you were saying about the retrospectives. Obviously, Matt, you've dropped your Saya Kamitani and Mina Shirakawa feud retrospective. That came out on the free feed yesterday as we record, so Tuesday. Next week from the vault, myself and Matt are going to be dropping the round table with Scotty Wrestling. We thought it was apropos, shall we say, to drop our round table discussion of our favourite 5-star Grand Prix matches. That is going to be live in your feeds at 5 a.m. British Standard Time on next Tuesday. So keep an eye out for that. Let's get into some news before anything else, and unfortunately we start with a little bit of sad news, because obviously, as you know, we completely unironically are huge fans of the Queen Clown herself, Kaori Oniyama, or Fukin Death as she's known in Stardom. Unfortunately, we are Stardom put out a tweet this morning saying Kaori Oniyama, or Fukin Death as she's popularly known as Stardom, has suffered a torn ACL. She expects to miss about a year, and her return to pro wrestling will be a decision made in the future. Join us wishing Kaori Oniyama a very speedy recovery to health. Obviously, that's devastating for Kaori Oniyama, who of course is a freelancer, so doesn't just wrestle in Stardom, but wrestles all over Japan for a whole host of different promotions. Devastating news for her, and between this and Ami Souri's recent surgery regarding her ACL, it's a horrible injury, and for two people to have it, at the same time for Stardom, it's not good, Matt.
No, not at all. And of course, I echo your sentiments, partner, that we wish Kaori Oniyama, the Fukin Death or Billiken Death or Death Yama-san or whatever, all the alias she goes by, that obviously wish her a speedy recovery, and hopefully that she comes back better than ever. But Kaori Oniyama is I saw that tweet this morning. She's very much like a Joshi legend that kind of goes under the radar. I mean, she's been in the game quite some time and is able to keep reinventing herself with the certain clown gimmicks that she does, when she's working for underneath the Stardom banner. But when she goes and does her freelance work, she's just the Kaori Oniyama, and just an absolutely fantastic worker, and really one of the early linchpins and the backbones and the foundations of the high-speed division. The high-speed division that's basically helped build the careers of Azumi, Starlight Kid, Natsupoi, and as we see, right now in current day Stardom, one May Sarah. So she's really been able to kind of pave that road for what we see as the current high-speed division. And one of these days, partner, I would like for me and you to maybe do a career retrospective on Kaori Oniyama, because I don't think she's somebody that properly deserves her flowers. So, I know she's no spring chicken. I know she's not one of these teenagers. She's not Hana or Hina or Rena or Hana, one of these wrestlers that are in their late teens, early 20s. So I know she's kind of getting up there in years. So the fact that will she come back from the surgery to wrestle or won't she? That I don't know, but if she does decide to hang up the boots, whether it's after the surgery or whether it's 2 or 3 years from now, I'd love to see her in a training role at any of these dojos, whether it be Sendai Girls, Stardom, Marigold, regardless, because I think she has a lot to still offer after her wrestling days are done. But we hope that her wrestling days aren't done for quite some time, because she's a very, very entertaining and fantastic professional wrestler.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been wrestling since 1999. I mean, she's 43 years old as of February this year. So, you know, it's not a secret that coming back from really serious injuries is harder the older you get. It would be really sad for Kaori Yoneyama's career to end in this way. I'm certainly hoping that it won't be. And as you said, Matt, she was a huge cornerstone of the early days of that high-speed division. You know, her and Natsuki Teo, I would argue, were the cornerstones of that high-speed division. She deserves a lot of praise for that. Obviously, you know, she's done a lot of work for JWP, for Pure J, Gato Move, Oz Academy, and of course Stardom. And I'm glad you brought up her guises, her different ring names, her different, what's the word I'm looking for? Alter egos, shall we say? Because I've got a list of some of them here that I'd like to go into with you. Obviously, we've got Kaori Yoneyama, her actual name. We have got Fukigen Death. We've got Gokigen Death. We have got Death Yama-san. We have got Black Paranoia. We have got Corner Post. We have got Happy Pumpkin. We have got Midnight Devil. We have got Ataku-chan. We've got T2 Mask. We have got Ataku-chan. We've got Kaori Haruyama. We've got Fuka Kid. We've got Corner Post. We've got Den Pakakan Josuru, just to name a few. Obviously, I would love to see her come back and take on her final evolutionary stage, which, of course, as we both know, Matt, is Queen Clown. But in all seriousness, we obviously hope Kaori Yoneyama recovers quickly and is returning to a Stardom ring sooner rather than later. As I say, I know that tweet says that it can be up to a year, which is really devastating and is roughly the same sort of timetable that we have for Amisori as well. Not moving away from injuries, unfortunately, but Marigold, who in their relatively short existence have been rather unlucky, shall we say, in regards to injury. They've announced that Rhea Sato and Zeta Steele will be missing this weekend's action. Rhea Sato will be out of action until the end of September because she's fractured a rib, and Zeta Steele is going to be missing this weekend's shows due to back pain. She also missed Sunday's show as well. And Matt, I don't know if you noticed this from the show on the 3rd of August, when she had the singles match. This is Zeta Steele, of course. The singles match with Myla Grace, her back was heavily taped, and you could actually see before they locked up, she says something about her back. And that match, I don't think she takes a full proper bump for the entirety of that match. So she must have been in a hell of a lot of pain.
Yeah, considering the fact that she didn't really take too many bumps and the match was as good as it was, which, again, we're recording the Stardom Cast on Wednesday. We're scheduled to record Marigold Standard tomorrow on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to, talking about the two really good shows from our friends over at Marigold. But considering the fact that she was working with a back injury, and it really seemed like that building didn't have air conditioning, because there's a lot of people with
people were hot, yes,
with fans, and I think even Myla Grace, even before, when she got out there before they locked up, I think she even said, "Oh boy, it's hot in here." And I've been in there, folks. I've been in the middle of the summer. We were wrestling in buildings that are a million degrees, and it's tough because you're trying to get your breathing and you're sweating, and you want to make sure that all the moves you do are keeping your opponent safe. So you throw all those factors in. And the fact that, again, she wasn't taking any big superplexes or any power bombs to the outside or anything like that, but yet her and Myla Grace still really had a really good, entertaining match. Just shows you just how great of a professional wrestler that Zeta Steele is, considering the fact that she's only wrestling a few years. So, of course, with all these injuries piling up, not only in Stardom, not only in Marigold, but just about really in any sport, we really hope that everybody takes the time to rest, recover, and come back to the sport that they love. So, yes, speedy recovery to everybody that's been on the shelf, my friend, because it really seems like, hopefully, I mean, remember during last year's 5-star, it seemed like every time that we'd open up Twitter, somebody else was injured, and it's this seems like we have the Stardom wrestlers are injured. Utami is just coming back from an injury. A lot of these wrestlers are getting a little banged up, so hopefully that we can pump the brakes a little bit and everybody can get through these two tournaments. And what do I mean by these two tournaments? I mean the obviously the Stardom 5-star Grand Prix, and then of course the Marigold Dream Star Grand Prix. Hopefully everybody can get through these two tournaments. Hopefully relatively safe.
Yeah, and obviously we talked a little bit about Zeta Steele. It must be a really bitter pill to swallow for Rhea Sato, who had already been on the shelf for 6 months this year, wrestling her last match in January, to then come back in July in Ryogoku, be doing as well as she has been doing, and then to end up missing another couple of months of action because of a fractured rib, which, speaking as someone who has broken and fractured ribs multiple times, it's extremely painful, and there's nothing you can do about it either. There's no surgery, really. There's no pain. There's no sort of pain management or anything. It's literally just a case of take some painkillers and that's it, because you're breathing all the time. So especially depending on where it is, it can be incredibly uncomfortable. So thoughts obviously go out to Rhea Sato, go out to Zeta Steele. And as I mentioned, Marigold have been so desperately unlucky with injuries and illness. They had Julia fracturing her wrist in the first ever main event. You've had Nanai Takahashi and now Ishikawa both missing multiple dates through illness. You had Yuzuki, who missed both of the shows over the weekend. You've got Utami Hayashishita, who's been hospitalized with enteritis, and that's not even taking into account the fact that Sari also sustained a wrist fracture at Summer Destiny. So it's a whole host of injuries, bless Marigold, that they seem to be dealing with. But yes, Rhea Sato and Zeta Steele are the latest. And that has necessitated some card changes. Marigold did announce their shows for the 10th of August, which will be Miko Aono's homecoming show, and the 12th of August as well, which will be a show in Yokohama. Unfortunately, due to her injury, it does mean that Zeta Steele has been pulled from her qualifier for the Dreamstar Grand Prix. She was due to take on Kazuna Tanaka on Night 8, which was the show from the 10th on Saturday. She has been replaced by Kamomo Minami. That card for Miko Aono's homecoming show on the Saturday, the 10th of August in Saitama, that card is as follows. We've got 2 Dreamstar Grand Prix qualifiers, with Chika Goto already making her way through. Kazuna Tanaka versus Kamomo Minami, and then Victoria Yuzuki, who makes a return, versus Myla Grace. Utami Hayashishita, who returns to in-ring action after, as I mentioned, being hospitalized with enteritis. She is going to be teaming with Naoya Ishikawa and Nanae Takahashi versus Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Bozilla. Mirai, Mai Sakurai, and Misa Matsui will be taking on Koki Amare, Chika Goto, and Natsumi Shozuki. That promises to be a very tasty 6-woman. And then in your main event, as we continue Julia's road to a last match in Japan, Miko Aono versus Julia in singles action. Yes, please. The card has also changed for the show in Yokohama on Monday the 12th. Not as drastically, though. Twin Towers, Koki Amare and Chika Goto will now take on Kamomo Minami and Victoria Yuzuki. Natsumi Shozuki and Myla Grace will face off once again in a singles match. The card shuffle does mean that Kazuna Tanaka will be taking on Bozilla in singles action, and Tanaka's reaction on Twitter really made me laugh. It was like, oh God. Utami Hayashishita and Mirai taking on Miko Aono and Misa Matsui. And then in your main event, Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Julia versus Mai Sakurai, Nanae Takahashi, and now Ishikawa. We'll obviously talk a little bit more about these cards and about the ramifications of these injuries on the Marigold Standard. As Matt's already said, we'll be recording that on Thursday, and that'll be dropping in your feeds first thing on Friday morning. But Matt, some really exciting things there. Miko Aono versus Julia, I'm very excited about. And that semi-main event in Yokohama on the Monday, Utami and Mirai versus Miko Aono and Misa Matsui, that could be stellar.
Yeah, some really, really good stuff coming up from our friends at Marigold, and good on them for being able to shuffle these cards up as well and as quick as they have been. Again, you mentioned the slew of injuries and illnesses that have been going through the Marigold roster. So it's going to be exciting to have Utami come back and some really good tag matches. But yeah, that Julia versus Miko Aono match is going to be something. And and Julia, we love us some Julia, but we kind of scratched our heads a little bit when she had her final handful of matches in Stardom that nobody was able to get the 1, 2, 3 on her. And then we saw Utami was the complete opposite. Everybody beat Utami on the way out. And again, we don't know what the booking was like. We know that she has these final 5 matches. To me, Rob, and I'm going to throw this question to you. To me, I think there's 2 matches that Julia needs to eat the L's on. One is this one with Miko Ano, and the other one was my Sakurai. For 2 really main reasons is like you need to elevate these 2 talents on your way out. Especially Miko Ano is somebody that made it to the finals of the Twin Star Tag Final tournament, and is your current, technically your second biggest star on the show on your roster, because she is the white belt champion. She is the pure white belt champion. So I think that if Miko Ano goes over Julia, does that help promote Miko Ano as your next main event star, which we know that she already is, but also gets your secondary championship belt over. And then with my Sakurai, there's the whole thing with the history in Donald Del Mundo, and they're a former Artist of Stardom champions, and they're really good friends inside and outside the ring. And the fact that my Sakurai, her improvement is just absolutely insane. Like, she was so good in that tag tournament, that whole entire show from Cork and Hall, and the fact that we now have Masahiro Chono showing her the STF. And the fact her STF is as good as Chono. I'm not gonna say as good as Chono's was, but like it's. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said it, I'm like, all right, you take it easy there.
Yeah, let's just pump those brakes a little bit, Mr. Turner.
Her STF is really, really good. Is that fair to say? She's got a really good STF now.
That's fair. Yeah, it is improved.
I really think that those are the 2 matches that she absolutely needs to be eating the L on. So I don't know. I just kind of want to get your thoughts and opinions on that.
Well, it's interesting to say that I think you're definitely right about the Miko Ano match. I think Julia, they've got a line to sort of toe in that you don't want to bury Julia before she goes to WWE, and I do wonder how much of a say WWE have in these last few bookings for Julia. It might be nothing, it might be everything. I don't know. I'm not familiar. I do think a loss to Miko Ano does wonders for Miko Ano. Does nothing to Julia, really. Julia still feels like a star. My Sakurai is an interesting one because she's improved exponentially. I would argue that probably the most improved wrestler on the entirety of that Marigold roster. And of the 2 companies that we watch, Stardom and Marigold, I would argue that there's only really Xena, in my eyes, that's improved more vastly than my Sakurai. However, has she improved to a level where it is believable that she beats Julia clean in the middle of the ring? I mean, obviously she does have the deadliest elbow drop in the game, and that's obviously a huge plus for her. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I imagine it will be the main event of that Corrigan Hall show. I would be flabbergasted if it's not the main event of that Corrigan Hall show. Especially as we've only really got 2 matches official for that card, which we'll be talking about in a second. My Sakurai's grown on me massively, and I think it would be huge for her to beat Julia. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes to the old Hatman TLD.
I think the Miko Ano match will go to the TLD if one of the 2.
Do you see Julia losing clean to Mai Sakurai? I mean, I know that she'll do the job. I don't think this is a case of Julia won't. I think if Julia is asked to lose, she will lose, and she will lose spectacularly. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's a weird one because obviously wrestling dictates that, what was it The Undertaker said? You leave on your back, don't you? You leave a promotion on your back, or you retire on your back, or whatever it is, staring at the lights. Looking at the lights, that's the one. Sounded a bit weirder when I said it, just lying on your back. Moving on. But I think, I don't know.
I'm going to make one final point here, and this just came across my brain. Julia was slated to go to WWE like as soon as her contract Stardom was done. They've been interested in her for quite a while. The main reason why she stuck around, I mean, you know this better than anybody, partner. The main reason why she is not in WWE yet is because she wanted to help Rossi get this Marigold promotion up and running. So if that is her main reason why she's not on worldwide TV, whether it be NXT, Raw, or SmackDown, don't you think her last match should be her putting somebody over to elevate them? And I'm not saying it's the right or wrong thing, but her whole theory behind okay, I'm going to stick around for 4 or 5 months to help Rossi, my boss over here in Japan with Stardom, the former owner of Stardom, help him get this promotion off the ground. Well, if that's what she's going to do on her way out, I think she needs to be eating an L. Again, if that's the whole idea behind her staying in Japan a few months before going to the big leagues, the biggest league, I mean.
I completely understand your point of view, and I know that she's done an interview with Tokyo Sports this week where she's actually said she's been sort of tapped up, for lack of a better phrase, by WWE for years and years before this. So it's been a long time coming, I think. I think it's been sort of understood that Julia will at some point end up in WWE, and now obviously we're seeing that come into fruition. I completely agree that Julia will want to go out with a loss because, again, you've just said she wants to help Rossi out. That's not my issue. And again, this is no disrespect to Mai Sakurai. I'm a huge fan now of Mai Sakurai. Hopefully I've put that over the Marigold Standards and Stardom cast that we've done over the past couple of months. I wasn't, and that's very evident. But, I am now, and I think she's a deserved upper mid-carder in Marigold at the moment. But is she the right caliber? And what I mean by that is, if Julie were to go out against a Mirai and she takes the L, absolutely believable. Goes out against Miko Ano and takes the L, absolutely believable. Same with Utami. Is Mai Sakurai in that bracket that it becomes believable that she could beat Julia? Or are people just going to go, she only lost because Julia's on her way out? I mean, people might completely forget this if it's an absolutely fantastic match, which, spoiler, I do think it will be, because I think Julia will do everything in her power to put Mai Sakurai over during this match. I would like to see it because, as I said, I'm a huge fan of Mai Sakurai. I just don't know if it will come over as believable. Hopefully Mai Sakurai completely proves me wrong, blows her away, and then pins her with the most devastating elbow drop in the history of wrestling. But we'll see. Yeah, you heard me, Randy Savage.
What? Great Randy Savage. I thought you were going to say Kyrie or something, and she had a really good one on Ron. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to the EO and Kyrie watch. Just one quick thing I want to bring up since we're talking about Julia, because you fans of the Stardom cast demanded it. We will be doing on the Marigold Standard a Julia watch when she gets over to NXT, very much like we do on the Stardom cast with EO and Kyrie. And Andy Hedder has workshopped a couple titles for us, Rob Goodwin, and obviously we don't have to settle on anything just yet, but he had a gaze at Julia and a glimpse at Julia. So those Andy Hedder's workshopping a couple titles for us for our Julia watch over at the Marigold Standard when she comes over to NXT. But yes, we will be covering Julia's run in the WWE.
Agreed. We also have another match I mentioned before that has been made official as of yesterday for Marigold's next Korakuen Hall show. It seems that all the news today is about Marigold. But Miko Ano, who we've spoken about before, will be defending her United National Championship against Koki Amore. At the last Korakuen Hall show, with Miko Ano and Natsumi Shozuki being on the losing end of that tag title match with Mirai and Mai Sakurai. Fantastic match, by the way. Really good show. Koki Amore came out, confronted Miko Ano. Koki Amore then got the pinfall over Kazuna Tanaka, who Miko Ano was tagging with on Saturday, and officially challenged Miko Ano for the pure white belt. Miko Ano has accepted, and Wrestle Universe and Marigold have now put out that is official for the Korakuen Hall show. So far we have got the United National title match between Miko Ano and Koki Amore. And we have got Julia's last ever match in Japan against Mai Sakurai. It's going to be I have a feeling that this card, it's going to draw big simply off the back of it being Julia's final match in Japan before she leaves for WWE. However, adding a good title match like this, Miku Ano, who's been nothing short of fantastic in every single outing that she's had in Marigold, and Koki Amare, who is up there as one of the fastest rising stars in Marigold, this has the potential to be really, really, really good, Matt.
Yeah, this is going to be another fantastic Cork and Hall show. And my guess would be, correct me if I'm wrong, partner, this will stream live and in living color on Wrestle Universe.
It will indeed. Again, any shows in Tokyo. So at the moment, Marigold seems to be running exclusively Korakuen Hall and Shinkiba. So if they run in those two areas, it will be live streamed. You will only get English commentary at the moment, though, at Korakuen Hall. The only change for that is the opening night of the Dreamstar Grand Prix, which is going to be from the Edion Arena Osaka #2, and that's going to be live on Wrestle Universe as well. So that's the only exception to that rule. Just another couple of things regarding Stardom before we move on. Hanako had her first match of her American excursion against Jada Stone at the New Japan Academy Showcase 4. I haven't had a chance to see this yet, but I know that there were a couple of people on Twitter who took photos of it and said that she did very, very well. I believe Jada Stone was on the Spot Joshi card we went to. Is that right, Matt?
I think you're correct, buddy. The one literally minutes before WrestleMania Night 2, that one?
Yeah, because we weren't stressed enough, so we decided to do 2 shows back to back. Yeah, in fact, unless I'm very much mistaken, she was Konami's pick.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then Milo World was Mayu's pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was again a great match from our friends over at the Spark Joshi promotion, and I'm really looking forward to see what they have coming up. But yeah, I did not see this match, but actually there's like a few of our listeners were at that show and they said that match was really, really good. But I'm assuming, Rob, because that's a New Japan like adjacent show, is that on New Japan World or their YouTube channel?
I imagine it will emerge on New Japan World at the moment. It might already be up there, but I'm that consumed with the G1 Climax at the moment that I simply have not got round to it. So I imagine it will be up there at some point. If it's up there already, great, go and check it out. If it's not, we will keep you updated on the podcast as and when you can find it. A couple more dates for Hanako then. She will be in San Antonio, Texas, on the 16th of August, which is this next Friday for United 210. She's going to be at the Hybrid School of Wrestling on the 24th in San Antonio, Texas. 25th, she's going to be at New Texas Pro at the Campbell Hall in Pasadena, Texas. And then, of course, on the 29th, she's going to be on MLW TV as well. That is going to be streaming for free live on MLW's YouTube channel. So check that out if you can. Speaking of tournament wrestling, Matt, we talked about the Dreamstar, of course. We are here for the 5-star. We had a press conference, which are always fun when they come from the world of Stardom. President Okada came out and announced that all tournament matches will be streamed on Stardom World live. The only exception are pay-per-views, but of course they will still be live streamed. You'll just have to pay for it, and then they'll be on video on demand on Stardom World within a day or 2, I believe, or until the exclusivity rights have gone from the pay-per-view provider, which I think is usually ordinarily 3 days. So, but still great news to have the vast majority of these shows live and direct. Matt, I know that the opening night is going to be a pay-per-view. I believe the final night will be a pay-per-view as well. Wouldn't be surprised if the quarterfinals are a pay-per-view, but to have the vast majority of these block shows on Stardom World live streaming, fantastic.
Yeah, when I looked at the schedule they put on Stardom World, and obviously cards subject to change, it looks like there's only 2 pay-per-views, which again, night 1 of the 5-star Grand Prix, which gladly I will pay my money for that because that show just looks absolutely stacked this weekend. And then the finals, which is going to be really interesting, which I believe it's not only the finals, but the semifinals. Correct, partner? It's going to be, they're going to have to win 2 matches. Whoever wins this tournament is going to have to win 2 matches back to back. I believe I have that correct, right?
The 31st, yes. It's the semifinals and final.
I like that. New Japan, when they do the last handful of years when they've done their G1, is you would have 3 final nights. So you'd have like Friday would be your A block final, Saturday would be your B block final, and then Sunday Sunday you already know going into that show what the finals are. And it's basically you have a bunch of tag matches, you have a couple angles here or there, but everyone's really just waiting for that final match. Or I like it where Stardom, and obviously this is a different format than they've done in the past, but like going into that final night, you don't know who's going to qualify or be in the finals. At least we know going into the final night if we're going to have 4, you're going to have a 1 in 4 shot of predicting your winner of who's going to win. But I like the fact that it's going to be not just the finals, but the semifinals. And then I believe they put Hina versus Rina on one of those nights, which we'll get into. So I'm assuming they're probably going to load up the undercard for their quarterfinals and then the finals as well. So, yeah, I'm super excited for it. And again, folks, I know that we have a lot of listeners of this podcast that don't subscribe to Stardom World. They just watch the stuff on YouTube. And I get it. I understand everybody's dollars stretched. But if you're ever thinking about pulling the trigger on Stardom World, I mean, this month of August is really the month to do it. Less than $7 is going to get you this entire tournament. I mean, I know we have the pay-per-views, but still, less than $7 is going to get you this entire loaded tournament. You have your Sherry's, Starlight Kids for you AEW fans. You have Anna Jay. I'm really looking forward to see what she does in this tournament. We have Momo Watanabe, Tomoka Inaba. I mean, there's so many loaded matches and loaded blocks that, for less than $7. Again, if you have not subscribed to Stardom World or if you're not sure of it, this really, really is the month to do it. Not only do you get this entire 5-star Grand Prix, but you get the massive back catalog of just some great wrestling action. So, and I'm super excited. And I thought this is really, really a good thing for Stardom. The fact that they're live streaming their entire 5-star Grand Prix. And this may work out as a test, Rob. We've seen where they maybe done 1 or 2 pay-per-views in a month and then like 3 or 4 shows live stream. This is the only month in Stardom's history where you can watch every single show in a month, either live streamed on Stardom World or for the pay-per-view. So this might be their test, or if they can get the numbers up, get more subscribers to Stardom World, that we may be seeing more and more live stream Stardom World shows, what ultimately is only going to help the company. The only thing they really need to do, my man, we hear it all the time, is English commentary. I know 2 handsome gentlemen, one from the United States and one from the UK. They'll do the English commentary. Just hit them up.
Yeah, absolutely. And once Matt tells me who they are, I certainly will be hitting them up. No, I'm excited for this tournament, I must admit, with even in spite of, I don't think we were overly negative last week. I think that this tournament has the potential to be one of the strongest in history. I know that the 2021 tournament holds a really sort of large part of my heart, and I know 2022 is the same for you, Matt, as well. But I do think if executed correctly, which I do have every confidence that it will be, 2024 has the ability to easily eclipse both of those tournaments, because there is a lot of talent on show in these 4 blocks. Just another couple of updates then regarding Stardom World. They have now put up the Sendai Girls match between Mika Iwata and Mina Shirakawa, and the tag match with Team 200 kilograms versus Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki. Those are up on Stardom World, as is the Pro Wrestling Wave match between Mei Seira and Kohaku for Kohaku's 6th anniversary bout from the 1st of August in Shinjuku Face. That is also on Stardom World. We obviously haven't had a chance to watch that as of yet, because they only went up about 4 hours ago, but we will have checked those out. Hopefully, if we've somehow managed to wade through the 5-star Grand Prix and the other countless shows we watch because we're gluttons for punishment, we will have a review for those next week. Finally then, Matt, speaking of wrestlers in other promotions, we did have Sariism Chapter 4, which had a main event of Sari and Natsupoi taking on Azumi and Takumi Aroha. I know that you have now seen this match. I believe you've seen the entire pay-per-view, actually. I haven't had a chance yet, but I want to throw to you before we review the Stardom show, just to give us a little bit of a flavour of this main event.
Yeah, I didn't see the entire show. I did watch the best friends tag match. I forget the two ladies they wrestled, but I was blown away by that. I thought that match was terrific. And the Joshi scene when it comes to tag team wrestling, especially this year in 2024, is really blowing every other wrestling company's tag division out of the water. So that was a great, great match. And this match, it ranks right up there, probably my top 4 or 5 favorite tag matches I've seen all year from any wrestling company. I mean, considering it seems like the last 3 months, every week, either on this show or the Marigold Standard, we're talking about, oh, that was a tag match of the year candidate. That was a tag match of the year candidate. Rob Goodwin, this tag match between Sari and Natsupoi versus Azumi and Takumi Roha was a tag match of the year candidate. And I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit of highlights as because I do, sometime in the next month, if you do have time, I highly recommend you watch this match. And I would love to hear your opinions of this match. But just some highlights of the match. It starts out with Sari and Azumi. And Sari tries to out Azumi with some high-speed stuff, which I thought was really good. Rob Goodwin, better than anybody, nobody takes a butt kicking like one Natsupoi. And Azumi and Takumi Roha, they hit these penalty kick sandwiches to poor Natsupoi that I think even Sherry would have been like, that was kind of hard hitting on the Murder Pixie because they really, really beat up poor Natsupoi. But Natsupoi really brings the fire back here, not only onto Azumi, but Takumi Roha. A lot of the crux of this match was them building, at least from what I see. I think they're building to a Sari versus Takumi Roha singles match, whether that is something because they planted the seeds quite a bit in this match. That was a lot of the focus, whether that's going to be at a Sariism show, which would make sense because that's what the show was, or if they bring Takumi Roha as a special guest for a Marigold Championship match. I would have no problem with that, my friend. None whatsoever. We get some great high-speed stuff between Azumi and Natsupoi. We've seen them do it before. They do it again, and it never gets tiresome. Some really good stuff there. Sari and Natsupoi, they hit their basement drop kicks, like dueling basement drop kicks, which I thought was really, really cool. They get a lot of heat onto Azumi. Like Sari and Natsupoi really, really put a beating on Azumi. And then Takumi Roha comes in and she does what she does best. She takes everybody's heads off with some brutal, brutal strikes, especially the kicks to the head. Takumi Roha does the Okana roll into the German suplex spot where she has the Okana roll onto Sari and then German suplex Natsupoi. I think that's just a really, really cool spot. Zumi hits a top rope arm drag onto Natsupoi, and then she takes down Sari with a top rope armbar. That was a great, great spot. And then she's able to transition the armbar into the Azumi Sushi for a 2 count. Natsupoi, to the surprise of nobody, hits an insane super kick German suplex spot to Azumi. Natsupoi tries to take advantage by going for the Ferial Gift, but she misses. There's my Gorilla Monsoon reference. She goes to the well once too often with the Ferial Gift in this match. Azumi takes advantage, hitting an insane double stomp to Natsupoi for a 2 count. Natsupoi again comes back with more super kick German suplex goodness to one Azumi. We get a double stomp Ferial Gift combination onto Azumi for a 2 count. So this was really cool because Azumi set up in the one corner by where Sari is. And Sari hits the double stomp to Azumi. Azumi tries to roll the opposite side of the ring to get away from Sari, to get away from danger. But when she does, she rolls right into where Natsupoi is, coming off the top rope for a Ferial Gift. I thought that was great. Eventually, Sari is able to take Takumi Roha out. And then the team of Sari and Natsupoi, they get the win with a really cool combination spot when Sari hits her trademark Exploder onto Azumi. And then Natsupoi rolls up Azumi in the Ferial Magic for the 3 count. This was amazing. 4 3/4 stars for me. An absolute must-see match, partner.
I mean, to be fair, between this match here that I know that you are incredibly high on, the match between Maika and Tomoka Inaba in Just Tap Out, the matches that Stardom are having on a wider scale really are bringing eyes to Stardom because these wrestlers are doing phenomenal. And I know that, obviously, there's Sari and Takumi Iroha in this match. They're phenomenal talents, especially Sari, who I've said on more than one occasion is having a Worker of the Year level run. But genuinely, it's only a good thing when people are seeing these wrestling in round. I need to watch these in Stardom. I need to watch a Natsupoi. I need to watch a Azumi. Incredible stuff. It really is. I do need to check it out. I promise I will do. Right. Because we've got lots to do, lots to talk about. Let's move on to the one show that we're going to be reviewing today, which was another live stream from Stardom. It wasn't initially supposed to be a live stream. It was going to be video on demand, but we got a notification something ridiculous like 6 hours before that it was going to be live streamed, which is great. The show from Hamamatsu, Sunday, 4th of August, Act City. Hamamatsu was the venue. 707 people in attendance. It's the third highest attendance Stardom have in Act City. They've run the venue 13 times. It's only the third time they've crossed the 700 boundary. The other time, 728 back in the 5-star Grand Prix 2023. The show main evented by Tam versus Hazuki. And then 824, which is their record in the venue, 5-star 2022. The main event of Mayu and Amir Sori. It is significantly above their average that they draw in this venue, though. 493 is the average that Stardom draw in Act City. They've drawn 707 here. I do wonder, Matt, how much of this is surrounding the angle in Sapporo with hate and, of course, the teenage Saya Kamitani.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying this is teenage Saya Kamitani. I'm saying she discovered 1980s Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
That's my story, and
Yep.
I'm sticking to it because I love me some Saya Kamitani, regardless of the heel turn. And of course, I love me every era of Metallica. But of course, the Ride the Lightning Master of Puppets, that's near and dear to my heart. It could be a combination of a little bit of everything. The fact that people are interested in this angle, like what are they doing with it? We have a new champion, and the fact that our main event is an absolute loaded all-star cast for the Artist of Stardom Championship, and it's the last show that we have that's going to lead us into the 5-star Grand Prix. And I think a lot of people too, even though it wasn't announced until at the end of the show, they basically thought this was going to be our last look at Mina Shirakawa for probably about 4 or 5 weeks before she travels over to the U.S. Obviously, again, we'll get into that with a lot of post-match angles and interviews that happened at the end of the show. Some really, really good stuff. But again, Stardom does a great job starting the shows off really, really hot with a hot match coming off that angle, whether you liked it or not. Regardless, I went into my my tirade last week. But the fact that we do have not only this match starts off the show, but they gave this match free on YouTube. So again, if you're not sure if you're going to subscribe to Stardom World, they gave this match free on YouTube. And I don't know if it was Velkage or Armani Shoe Exchange, excuse me. They put something up on Twitter just I believe on Monday, saying this was one of the most viewed clips, or one of the most viewed matches in the history of Stardom's YouTube account, as far as like 24, 48 hours goes. Something like almost 80,000 people viewed this match probably within the first day and a half. So that goes to show you that people are interested in this angle. So I think the big house and the big number they did on YouTube is a combination of a lot of things that Stardom is doing right, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And just sort of piggybacking on what you've said there, because I've actually got Armani's tweet in my notes. It's Armani Shoe Exchange at Armani Shoe on Twitter. Hello, Armani, if you're listening. They put on Twitter 67,000 views in just 24 hours. Stardom's stream of yesterday's opener is already one of the highest viewed live streams of an opener they've had in a while. It's more than All-Star Grand Queendom, which drew 64, and Dream Queendom, which only got 53. In terms of shows that are ahead of it, The Conversion, 76, and Stardom Gate, which was the show main evented by Mayu and Suri, at 75,000. So considering this is effectively, a throwaway Stardom World show, and we're talking about it mixing up with All-Star Grand Queendom, Dream Queendom, The Conversion, and Stardom Gate, all pay-per-views. There is a lot of intrigue surrounding the hate faction. There's a lot of intrigue surrounding Saya Kamitani as well. And we might as well jump straight into it. Before I go into the results of the show, we might as well get straight into Saya Kamitani, who came out at the press conference looking very, very different, very eerily similar to when Momo Watanabe initially joined Oedetai. She's got black hair, black clothes, does look very much like an emo punk. I am slightly concerned that she dressed a lot like I used to dress at high school, which I'm not
Oh
entirely
my
sure
God.
what that says
I need to
about
see
me.
folks, we need to see this. Hashtag release the pics, Rob Goodwin.
Oh,
Oh, I need to see emo Rob Goodwin. That's okay, buddy. When I was in high school, I had an insane clown posse phase. So face paint the
oh,
whole nine.
wow.
Yeah, I
And
gotta see if I can find that. Now, granted, I'm sorry, I know we're getting off kilter here, but now I didn't wear face paint to school, but I would see the Insane Clown Posse would usually do shows around the Northeast area, maybe like once every 2 months. So I've been to a bunch of concerts where there was probably about 12 of us in the full face paint. If I can find pictures, I will definitely send them your way, brother.
oh, please do. Yeah, I had the massive emo fringe. I wanted a lip ring. I wasn't allowed a lip ring. Apparently that was one step too far. But I got the black wife beater. Hadn't got a sports bra on underneath. But I'd got the jeans, that colour as well. I got the Converse. I did look worryingly like My Chemical Saya. So yeah, the look was very, very different. I still feel like she's trying to come to terms with how she's going to play this heel turn. At least that's how I felt during the press conference. It was very much a case of her rolling her eyes and stuff like that, which when you consider that she is a very naturally gifted babyface, it's always going to take a little bit of time to sort of transition over into being a heel and, you know, in this group that, you know, are doing something yet unseen in Stardom. I think Saya actually did come the show itself the day after. I thought did a really, really good job. Don't get me wrong, I still think that Saya is a babyface in heel's clothing, but I think she did a really, really, really good job of being this sniveling little brat. You know, the exchanges with Azumi, and again, I'll get into the results in a minute. The exchanges with Azumi, the way she swaggers to the ring. She is really, really putting 100% effort into that, and I fully, fully appreciate it. Do I like the fact that she's a heel? No, absolutely not. That's not going to change. Do I want her anywhere near hate? No, I don't. I want her to be one of the big Stardom babyfaces fighting hate. However, I think she's doing a good job as a heel. I think she can continue to progress, and I'm sure as we get to the 5-star Grand Prix and she has the new gear, because we were still in the placeholder gear here, we get the new music, we get where the focus is solely on her and she doesn't get lost somewhat in the gaggle that is hate. I think we'll see her really, really, really beginning to come to terms with this turn. I think as well, something that I noticed in this opening match that, again, they gave away free on YouTube, which was really clever marketing when you consider what everyone was talking about coming out of Sapporo. What I really did like, what I think I noticed is that Saya's moveset is very babyface orientated. And I think that's potentially something that she needs to cultivate. Because the Star Crusher, for example, worked really well as a heel killer move, especially when she delivered it with such venom to Miyu Amasaki at the end of this match. But there's still quite like the wheel kick, for example, the spinning heel kick and things like that are very quintessentially babyface. And I think she needs to work on what works as a heel as opposed to a babyface. But what did you think, Matt?
Yeah, you know what? Considering the fact I still think she's trying to understand her character as a heel, considering the fact that me and you both agree she's one of the top baby faces, not only in Stardom, but all of wrestling, which is again another reason why I went off last week, but last week was last week and this week is this week. I think that what she did at the press conference and what she did during this match, less is more at this point. Because she's still trying to figure it out. I'll give her all the credit in the world that this is the hand that she was dealt. And this is the character they asked her to play. She's going to commit to this role because her bosses are saying this is what we want you to do. And she's going to go all in on that. So when I really, really like that, I remember an interview Dusty Rhodes did obviously years and years ago when they asked him about coming over to the WWE with the polka dots. And he said, it didn't matter to me what they gave me. I'm talented enough. They could have put me in a diaper and I would have got it over. And I remember that resonated with because it's basically saying, okay, here's what we're giving you. Go and get it over. And that's what they're doing with Saya Kamitani. And the fact that, again, she did very little in this match. She had great exchanges with Azumi. I really like that part with her and Azumi and Azumi has said in interviews that she thinks that maybe she can pull the evil or the hate for lack of a better term, out of Saya Kamitani. And I really like that, how we're making even Azumi even a bigger baby face. Is she going to be the one 6 months, a year and a half from now where Saya Kamitani eventually comes back to the baby face side? Because I think that's eventually where it's going to go. I mean, Saya Kamitani, again, is such a great baby face that if they don't pull the trigger on switching her within the next year and a half, they're leaving money on the table. But I liked how, like, once Saya, like, shook or almost like touched like Azumi's skin, it was like, oh my God, this is my sister. This is my partner in Queen's Quest. This is the person that's had my back and I had her back. And it almost seemed like we got a tease of Saya doing a quick flip from babyface to heel, and then she goes and kicks Azumi in the head. So I'm like, oh, again, obviously I was totally against this heel turn and still am to some point, but the fact that we're probably somewhere down the line going to get a big Azumi Saya Kamitani match out of it, I think that's really cool. I'm hoping, Rob, that Saya Kamitani has new gear for the 5-star Grand Prix because, one, her as the Golden Phoenix, as in Queen's Quest and whatnot, as a baby face with the green, and then of course we've seen the red and the big robe. Like, she's had some of the coolest gear in all of wrestling. The fact that she literally came out on this show with a t-shirt, ripped off jeans, and sneakers, no knee pads, which still blows my mind to anybody that wrestles without knee pads. And I was like, really, it looked like she went to Hot Topic 2 hours before the show and had $20 to spend. Again, I'm hoping very much like when Momo first turned heel, it took maybe about a month or so for them to have the new gear, and then she looked really cool in the Oedo Tai gear. I'm hoping, especially with this loaded 5-star Grand Prix starting in just a few days, partner, that we have complete new gear. I hope she's not wrestling in this t-shirt and jeans thing and sneakers, because I think it looks just so generic for somebody that's a big star like Saya Kamitani. I'm understanding what she's trying to do here, but it's going to be really interesting to see her style, especially in these matches coming up in this tournament with the Risa Sera, the Suzu Suzuki, and the Han, and how she's going to be able to wrestle as a heel, because you said it 2 minutes ago, partner, so perfectly. Her moveset is just 100% pure babyface. It's exciting. It's moving. It gets you going. It makes her opponent look better as a heel, and it makes her look better as an overcoming babyface when she makes her comeback. So now she's got to completely redo her style. She can use the Star Crusher as a finisher, absolutely, and it worked here. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see Saturday with her match at Risa Sera, how she's going to play this heel role, this heel character. And is she going to have better gear than what we saw here in Hamamatsu?
Just to piggyback on what we were talking about before that, man, not to gloss over what you've just said, because I do agree with you on all counts. The pre-show, the first match, which is obviously still live and free for everyone on Stardom's official YouTube, it has surpassed 79,000 views, which means that it is currently, and I'm all the way back at Dream Tag Festival, which I think, so it is the biggest amount of downloads, or the biggest amount of views, should I say, since Dream Tag Festival back in 2023, which has 83,000. So a huge get, considering, again, this was not a pay-per-view. This was just solely based on the angle from Sapporo. So for that extent, I think, yeah, fair enough. Really, really, really good. I'll just go through the results before I give my final thoughts on this match. The 6-woman tag match that we were talking about, Hate, Natsuko Tora, Saya Kamitani, and Ruaka defeated the Neo Genesis team of Star, Kid Izumi and Miyu Amasaki. Saya Kamitani pinning Miyu with the Star Crusher in 14 minutes and 13 seconds. Matt, say what you want, but wrestling with no knee pads and no elbow pads and still doing the amount of moves that Saya Kamitani was doing, still quite badass. Three-way match, Waka Tsukiyama defeated Ryan and Momo Kogo with a total shot followed by a sideways shrimp hold in 4 minutes and 4 seconds. On to Ryan. 6-woman tag match, the Stars team of Hazuki Hanan and Sayarida defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora with a diving senton. Hazuki pinning Aya Sakura in 11 minutes and 59 seconds. Tag team match, the Crazy Star team of Suzu Suzuki and Meisera defeated the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani and Koguma, who we don't see tagging very often, so I was happy to see this. Meisera pinning Koguma with the Shooting Star in 10 minutes and 57 seconds. In a 10-woman tag team match, the God's Eye team of Shiori, Saki Kashima, Hina, Lady C, and Rani Yagami defeated the Hate team of Momo Watanabe, Konami, Tekla, Rina, and Fukiken Death, with Saki Kashima rolling up Konami with the Kish Kasai in 13 minutes and 27 seconds. Artist of Stardom Championship match, the Cosmic Angels Challenger team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Soriano defeated the EXV team of Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and Xena. Tam Nakano pinning Xena with the Violet Screwdriver in 19 minutes and 8 seconds, meaning that Cosmic Angels are your 33rd Artist of Stardom champions, ending the reign of EXV at 127 days, which is the 13th longest in history. Also, a little bit of a milestone for Tam Nakano, who becomes only the 5th person in Stardom history to hold the belts 4 or more times. Matt Turner, before Tam Nakano, there were 4 people who have held the Artist of Stardom Championships 5 individual times. Can you name me those 4 individuals?
Oh, so 5 or more.
So have held it 4 or more times. There's only Tam who's on 4. There are 4 women who sit at 5 currently.
So you need me to give you 4 answers.
Yeah, I do indeed.
Io?
Correct.
Momo Watanabe?
Nope.
Wouldn't be a Tam. Wouldn't be a Mayu?
Mayu?
Saki? Kashima?
Correct. That's the one I didn't think you'd get. Yeah, Saki Kashima.
Well, she was been in every faction. So yeah.
One...
I need one more. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Who, sorry?
No, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, well, you've got Io and Mayu. The other one should be fairly easy.
That would be the one and only, the human Cadillac.
There you go.
During the,
there you go.
It would be Kairi.
Correct. So Kairi, Io, Mayu, and Saki Kashima have all held the Artist of Stardom Championships with different teams 5 times. Tam is the only other person in Stardom history to move to 4 reigns. Natsupoi moves to 3 individual reigns, and Soriano takes her 2nd reign with the belt. Although, let's be perfectly honest, Matt, I don't think any of them felt like particular winners come the end of this show, which we'll talk about in a moment. Thought the opener itself was really, really good. Did a really good job of setting the table for this Saya Kamitani character. Something that I was immediately aware of is that Hate, the new logo, the new music and everything, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just a fresh coat of paint, but they immediately feel like more of a threat than Oeditai have done in years. Immediately, they're swaggering out. They just seem to be this level of danger surrounding them. And what I noticed in this match especially is there was minimal cheating. There was no sort of spot where we all roll to the outside and everyone gets launched into the chairs that seems to have been the start of every Oeditai multi-woman match for the past 18 months. You know, the chairs actually stayed remarkably where they should be. That didn't happen. There was no crate shot. The only real instances of cheating were when Natsukatora spat water into Miyu's face and Ruaka tripped Azumi as she came off the rope. Now, both of those things happened behind the referee's back. They weren't overbearing towards the match. And actually, I was more invested in a dangerous heel stable because they felt dangerous, as opposed to the fact that here we go into the crowd once again. So props where props is due for Hate here, Matt.
Yeah, not only that, but I really like their group theme. It very much reminded me of Miko Iwata's theme, which I made mention before, reminds me of like a Castlevania video game. And I don't play video games as much as I used to back in my youth, back in my insane clown posse youth days, Rob Goodwin. But Castlevania was one of my go-to games, so I like the Hate theme. It reminded me of going through Dracula's castle and kicking some ass. So I enjoy the Hate theme. So, again, all things considered, I mean, this is what it is. This is what Stardom is giving us. So let's just go with it. Let's just see how it plays out, my friend. Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a good first step, let's say. And again, this was a Stardom World show, you know, a house show. You weren't going to get a blow away, 5-star classic. I keep calling her Aja Kong because in the photo that I'm looking at, she looks like Aja Kong, and I can't get that image now out of my head. Natsukatora feels very, very much more at the top of her game than she has been perhaps ever. I feel like we were getting close to it when she had that injury against Utami. And I've said this multiple times that match was really threatening to become her best singles match ever. And I think she feels far more dangerous because she has an actual unified cause, which is wiping idols out of Stardom. And because they're not just mindless, there is actually a focused cause. I feel like they are a far better heel faction than the old tired Oedetai formula, which I did say last week. I didn't mind the rebranding. It was the Saya turn. And though I'm still not 100% invested in Saya as a heel, her as a sniveling sort of, cowardly brat heel, as opposed to a dominant heel like a Momo Watanabe or a Natsuko Tora, I think plays off those two very, very well. I'll be interested, as I've already said, to see how she adapts this heel character for the 5-star Grand Prix when she is relying solely on herself. Now, I don't know whether I'm just projecting my desperate hopes onto this, but I am hoping that because we didn't see a whole shed load of interference here, we're not going to see it in every single 5-star Grand Prix match involving members of Hate. Fingers crossed. I don't know whether that's the case, but we will see. Wakasukiyama, Rian, and Momokogo, listen, we've just had the debut of a newly turned Saki Kashima and a far angrier Oedetai. We needed a little bit of comic relief, and that's what this match does. There's not a great deal to talk about, but the betrayal on Momokogo's face when she thinks that her and Rian are working together, only for Rian to then start working with Wakasukiyama, is really quite hilarious. And actually, Wakasukiyama is the highlight of this match by far. Teaching Rian the subtle art of the hip attack, genuinely thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, 4 minutes. It was a harmless match. All three of these wrestlers worked really well together. We've noticed Waka getting a lot of wins, considering the fact they put a lot of stock when she got that win last year at New Blood Premium. And then I think it was like the very next day she was insert last minute, kayfabe, last minute, into the Cinderella tournament and then made it pretty far in the tournament. We thought, okay, now they're going to do something with Waka. It's kind of been start, stop. But she's been getting a lot of wins here as of late, which is really good. It's nice to see her picking up some more wins in the win column, and she gets one here on what was really an entertaining match.
And as I've said multiple times as well, it does take all sorts on a roster. Not everyone can be the top guy, and there's such a ridiculous ceiling at Stardom because there's such a embarrassment of riches at the top of this card. I feel like Wakasukiyama, similar to how Mai Sakurai was looking to try and make her own little niche on the undercard, I feel like Waka's doing that as well and is doing it quite well. And then one with a springboard flatliner, which I thought was quite cool, using the hunched over body of Momokogo, so that made me laugh. Just something I wanted to talk about, going back to Saya Kamitani, because I've just seen a note that I didn't actually say. On her shirt, it says Phoenix Queen. So I originally thought this was either I wasn't reading Phoenix properly and I couldn't tell it because of the font that was used, or it was a mistranslation of Phoenix. Tom Fain, friend of the show on Twitter, has actually quote tweeted Stardom's tweet about it and said a phoenix is a goetic demon, a fallen angel. So there you go. She is now known as the Phoenix Queen, not the Phoenix Queen, which is what I thought it was. I quite like that, Matt. It makes sense on a number of levels. And plus, she was known as the Golden Phoenix. She's now the Phoenix. I quite like it. Makes sense.
Yeah, there you go. Cool new t-shirt. Again, we'll see how Saya Kamitani pulls this heel character off. But yeah, we're definitely steps in the right direction. Again, I'm completely, I'm with you. I'm completely against it, but this is the role that she has so far. We're a week or so removed from her turning heel, and I think she's taking steps in the right direction and a great way to her to continue this character in the low to block that she is in the 5-star Grand Prix, which obviously we'll be talking about a little bit later in the show.
Potentially controversial take here. This 6-woman tag between Stars and Cosmic Angels was my second favourite match of the night. And the reason is very, very simple. Aya Sakura. I thought of all the people in this match, and we've spoken and highlighted Sayaka Kurora for her development quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, and she had that really good match in Sapporo with Tam, for example, that really good singles match, whereas, Aya Sakura was rolled up in 25 seconds by Saki Kashima. However, here, especially those closing exchanges with Hazuki, I thought were really, really good, because I went into it thinking, right, this is basically a prelude for Hazuki and Yuna Mizumori in the 5-star Grand Prix. They're both in the same block. That's what we're getting. And we did get flashes of that, certainly, and we got it even more at the end. But actually, I thought Aya Sakura was the person who came away from this match with the most heightened stock, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And considering the fact that we do have Sayaka Kurora, which we've been singing her praises the last 2 months or so, especially this cool little angle that she's doing with Tekla. Yuna Mizumori, again, in my opinion, the most improved wrestler in all of wrestling last year for 2023. And again, she's in the 5-star Grand Prix, rightfully earned from Yuna. And then on the other side, you have Saida, Hanan, Wingori, and of course our beloved Hazuki. Considering the fact that they made a point to highlight Aya Sakura to make her look well, and the fact that she really hung with Hazuki and almost pinned her a few times, I thought was really done well. We've seen the Wingori versus Aya and Sayaka match a couple months ago for the New Blood Tag Team Championships, which was an absolute show stealer. We'll love to see these two teams run it back in a month or two, considering the fact of how much better Aya and Sayaka are, not only as individuals, but as a team. But I completely agree with your partner. I thought Aya here was the main event, or not the main event. She was the MVP of this match. Everybody else was terrific. I actually had it at 3 3/4 stars, but it was my third favorite match of the show. But I understand why you had it at number 2, my friend.
Yeah, I had it at 3 3/4 stars as well. I can imagine that that is because the next match, Crazy Star and Stars, was probably your second favourite, which, Matt, I'm not going to begrudge you, because it was a really good match.
Yeah, really excellent stuff here. And to the shock of absolutely nobody, these two had a terrific match. Actually, friend of the show, who we shout out quite a bit here on the show, Darren Chatton, I think he watched this show live or as it happened. This show happened on a Sunday. Rob, you know how insanely busy my Sundays are, so I didn't get into this show until Monday the next day. But he sent me a message saying, the tag match with Crazy Star versus Mayu and Koguma were really good. And I kind of had to rib him and jab him a little. I said, so you're telling me, buddy, that a match that had Suzuki, Mei Seira versus Mayu and Koguma was really good? I was like, breaking news. But no, I always appreciate Darren's help, and he's actually been helping me a lot on time cues for Io and Kairi Watch, and he's going to be helping us on the Julia glimpse or gaze at Julia, whatever we decide to call it. He's going to help me out with time. Yes, he's going to help me out with timing cues on those as well. So, and Darren always helps me out with attendances, especially when I have to do the show solo, because usually attendance, that's your thing, my man. You're the king of that. So, and always good chatting with Darren. But no, this match was terrific. Mayu and Suzu, they had a really great match, the 5-star Grand Prix a couple years ago, that, if you remember, was the main event of a Cork and Hall show, that Mayu actually hooked the tights of Suzu Suzuki to beat her. And it looked like they were going to go somewhere with a Mayu and Suzu angle. They never did. And they were really kind of played off some of their stuff from that match, the 5-star Grand Prix a couple years ago. You said it before, how Mayu and Koguma, they really don't team together. When we see Koguma team up, it's usually as part of FWC with Hazuki, because they're terrific together. And Mayu, she'll either team up with Hanan as part of Eye Contact, or she'll team up with Momokogo as part of Peach Rock. So the fact that you have these two members of the same faction in Stars, two fantastic wrestlers that don't team up together, but when they do, you're like, oh, these two are really, really good. And obviously, Mei and Suzu are terrific. I thought this match was great. You had your high-speed stuff. You had your hard-hitting stuff. You had great tag team psychology. I had this at 4 stars. I thought this was great. I wish it maybe would have went 2 or 3 minutes longer, just because I was enjoying as much as I did. But the fact that we had this match on a really, really good show, I mean, just goes to show you how loaded the Stardom tag division is, and just really the roster as a whole. I thought this was great.
Yeah, it was really good. I did enjoy the fact that Suzu Suzuki might now be a part of this like fresh neon happy-go-lucky stable that is Neo Genesis, but she still has absolutely no patience for Koguma's bear shenanigans. Like, Koguma attempts to start this match, and Suzu Suzuki is having none of it. Doesn't dance along, nothing. And even chases her around the ring and May Sarah cuts her off. They do beat the living Kuma out of Koguma, which is bless her. But yeah, when especially once Mayu tags in that first time, the pace really picks up. And that first time matchup, there's a lot of first time matchups in this 5-star Grand Prix, and one that is flying under the radar is Mayu Iwatani versus May Sarah. I am extremely excited to see that match. I think that match could be absolutely blow away. I'm just trying to find on the schedule when it is. It's the 23rd, Sendai Pit. So it's the second to last night of block action. So that's certainly one in my mind to keep an eye on, definitely. God's Eye versus Hate then, Matt. This was more your typical brawl, but again, Hate felt so strong during this match. But again, it was Saki Kashima who caught my eye. She's usually this cowardly, not a heel necessarily, but a cowardly custard who just runs away at the smallest things, and yet here she is against this dominant Hate collective and just charges them down alongside Syuri, very much riding next to her into battle, which is what she promised she would do. I know that there was, during an interview with Syuri, I think she did for Tokyo Sports, she did say, well, Saki Kashima's been in a weather tie. How do I know I can trust her? And Saki Kashima seems to be, at the moment, trying everything to earn Syuri's trust, and that involves, look, I'm going to run away from most things, but a weather tie is not one of them, or Hate, as they're now known, and she is very much on the charge. Of course, Hate, very, very dominant during this match, especially when it comes to poor Ron Yagami, who everyone absolutely beats the tar out of. What I did really like at the start was when everyone got sent to the outside. No chair bowling. That's what we do like to see. Momo Watanabe and Saya Kamitani make a beeline for Lady C, so there was like a little Queen's Quest thing there, which I did quite enjoy. Overall, a good brawl. I thought everyone got their licks in. Everyone got in what they needed to get in. Tekla does not care where that belt hits, though, does she? Jesus, who did she hit in the face? Was it Saki? Like, she's whipping her in the face because Saki was on the top rope. And Tekla takes a belt off, charges at her, and then absolutely wings this belt round. And I'm 90% sure it catches her on the cheek. Now, that does not tickle, does it, Matt?
No, that there's no giving that belt, and we've seen her do pretty much ever since she had the heel turn at All-Star Grand Queendom. She's using that belt, and I don't know if she's apologizing beforehand or what's going on, or like, because it's just, at the same time, it's getting her character over as a more aggressive heel, where the fact that she would rather do damage to her opponents than pick up the win. And she's kind of actually doing, getting the best of both worlds, because she is one half of the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships with Momo Watanabe. But yeah, she's really, really waylaying the belt. But going back to Saki Kashima, and I noticed this, somebody put a clip up of the Konami heel turn up on Twitter maybe about a week or two after it. But after everybody was beating down Syuri, it was Saki Kashima that jumped on Syuri to basically kind of like soften the blow, almost blanket Syuri. So I was like, oh, considering the fact that she's like, I guess the coward, lack of a better term, of this current member of God's Eye, it really seems like she's almost like Syuri's protector, which I really, really liked. And considering the fact that this match was an all-out brawl, the main crux of this match, partner, that you glanced over, I'm sure you have in the notes, was the exchanges with Momo Watanabe and Syuri. Anytime those two throw down, we get flashbacks of that final, the 2021 5-star Grand Prix, which is just one of the best 5-star matches in the history of the tournament, one of the best matches in all of wrestling back in 2021. But their exchanges were violent. They were brutal. Usually we get a little bit of a tease, and then, it kind of breaks down when we get these multi-person tag matches. But they did a great job of highlighting Syuri versus Momo, just going back and forth with the forearms, the kicks, the slaps. I thought that was really good. I liked how Konami gets rolling towards the end, only to get rolled up by the Kishi Kasai, which really makes Saki Kashima somebody that could be a spoiler in the 5-star Grand Prix, which I really, really liked, because very much like Toriano was in some of these G1s, when he's getting wins over like Naito and Tanahashi and Kenny Omega, she's somebody that can really spoil somebody's 5-star Grand Prix, and they did a really good job highlighting that in this match.
You say that, Saki Kashima, she's got the shortest match in 5-star history. beating Azumi on her birthday as well in 44 seconds. She also has a massive winning record against Tekla, who, of course, these two are in the same block. She's got a 3-0 record against Tekla, or is it 0-3? Oh, no, ignore me. Might be 0-3. We'll have a look in the preview anyway. But Saki has got a very good record against a lot of people because of the Kishkasai and because of that surprise roll-up. So it doesn't surprise me that she would be in and around that sort of final night, being able to play spoilers, especially as guess who she's got on the final night? Tekla. So it wouldn't surprise me if that is the way we see Tekla eliminated from the tournament. Post-match, you mentioned about how Saki Kashima threw herself on Syuri. Once Saki gets the pinfall over Konami, Hate obviously stormed the ring, are ironically hating the result. Syuri is the one that dives on top of Saki Kashima to stop them kicking her. So there is a nice bit of mirroring there. Saki Kashima then chews out Konami on the microphone as she runs off. Hina takes up the microphone and then calls out Rina, with the pair setting a date for their upcoming Future of Stardom Championship match. That has been made official for the 5-star final. That's going to be on the 31st of August, the first official match confirmed for that card. After that, Hina and Lady C, I thought they were already in God's Eye. I don't know whether they had officially been accepted, but they make a plea for Syuri to accept them into God's Eye, and then Saki Kashima answers, apparently as Syuri's lieutenant. She accepts them initially, explains she's absolutely over the moon to have Hina, and says Lady C can join, she supposes, only if she carries the bags. So, everybody has their job, I suppose. But that you now know that they're official, Matt, because everyone did the hand gestures, but Lady C really struggled with it. And to be fair, I was trying to do the God's Eye. I'm trying to do it now, but you can't see me because it's a podcast. I can't do it. So it is harder than it looks. So I've got every sympathy with Lady C. But yes, makes perfect sense to have Lady C and Hina in God's Eye, and Hina versus Rina. I'm very excited for that come the end of the 5-star.
Yeah, really, really interesting. And again, we're putting that match on towards the end of the 5-star Grand Prix. So Stardom's giving us all this great matches. And then again, as the tournament matches are dwindling down, as we get to those final 2 nights, we are going to be getting a Future of Stardom Championship match, which I know as far as like the tiers go, as far as Stardom title goes, it's not the red belt, it's not the white belt. But at the same time, what Rina's been able to do with that championship belt, and the fact that she's going to wrestle her sister for that belt, is going to be really, really interesting. And Rina's done a great job building herself up and building up that championship over this last year plus that she's had the belt. And Hina is somebody, even though she doesn't wrestle as much as we like, because obviously she's still in school, and then she had that elbow injury a couple months ago, but she's somebody that is also really, really improving, and that has been able to get a couple 3-count victories on her sister in these tag matches. So they've done a great job building this match up, and the fact that we're going to see it on one of those final nights of the 5-star Grand Prix just already adds to this great month that we're getting in August of Stardom action.
I will apologise. It wasn't the Tekla stat I was thinking of. I knew she got a decent and impressive record over a couple of people. She's got a 2-0 record over Hanan and a 1-0 record over Risa Sera. That was the one I was thinking of, not Tekla. She's 0-3 against Tekla. So with that being the last night, that's almost telegraphing the fact that Saki Kashima is due to get a win back against the Idol Killer on the final night. But we shall see. Artist of Stardom Championship match, Matt. Cosmic Angels versus EXV. This was brilliant, but nothing is as heartwarming to see the Cosmic Angels dance collectively and for Sayori Ano to actually join in. I know that there must have been a smile on your face.
Yeah, this match was terrific, and I kind of figured the Work Rate Angels, as friend of the show, Scotty Wrestling calls them, I figured they would get the win here just because we're not, we're doing with Micah. We're kind of breaking her down to build her back up again. Mina, as we kind of figured, and again, we'll get into it in a moment, that she'd be leaving to go to the United States for, anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks. So you don't want to have one of your champions holding a belt while they're not going to be in the company. Even if they don't defend them, we're going to be seeing Soriano, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano coming down to each and every one of these 5-star matches with those championship belts. And the fact that Soriano now she has 2 of them, with the Sendai Girls World Championship, and as well now Natsupoi is 2-belt Natsupoi, so 2-belt poi. But yeah, I thought this match was terrific, and what a great way to start this matchup with the perfect Cosmic Angels dance, my man. We are back. We are back.
I think you mean Nats 2-poi.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that might be a new. We got a lot of new merch probably in the canon and stuff that's already up there. So again, folks, if I can cheap shill our contest coming up for our Patreon listeners, I mean, you may win the Knots 2-poi shirt if I can convince Rod to get that up by the end of the 5 stars. So really good stuff, my man. That was awesome.
Thank you. I feel like I've peaked now. There's nothing else. There's nothing left. But yeah, there was loads of good exchanges for this. I doubt that there are 2 more capable wrestlers of emotional storytelling as Tam and Mina. And when we get those exchanges between the two, and, you know, when you consider the history between these two, it's so well done. You know, the opening exchanges are perhaps a little bit cagey, not knowing how to proceed. And then when they reconvene later on in the match, they just beat the ever-loving hell out of each other. And it's so good. And actually, props to whoever was on the camera, but there was, when they left after the title ceremony, there was a referee holding the belts, and the only 2 people left in the middle were Tam and Mina. And I was like, oh, I love this. That's so good. But we had the exchanges between those 2. We had the exchanges between Micah and Natsupoi, who, of course, meet on the opening night of the 5-star. Something I love about this is that we know that Natsupoi is able to take a beating like very few others on the Stardom roster. Natsupoi is so good at having the hell beaten out of her, but she's an underrated striker on her own, and when she's hitting Micah in the corner with those hefty blows, brilliant, absolutely incredible. But again, Soriano and Xena, for me, were the highlight of this match. Their exchanges were brilliant. Xena in particular, I'm just such a fan of at the moment, whether it's her ripping through someone's chest with the chops or the fact that she's got such a deceptive agility. In my eyes, and I said this earlier on the episode, and I'll double down on it here, she is by far the most improved on this stacked Stardom roster. And then when you place her aside a partner such as Soriano, she comes out looking even better, Matt.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Soriano Xena stuff was probably the highlight of this. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff. I mean, this match starts off hot with just a fast start with all 6 of these wrestlers, and then like 30 seconds in, Natsupoi does a crazy dive. I really like that, but I made mention about a month or so ago how great, back when Micah, way back in the day when Micah was Red Belt champ, and even further
in those
back
good
in the
old
annals
days.
of time, and even going back further in the annals of time when Soriano was the Wonder of Stardom champion, I was like, boy, this really gives me feels back to 2022. And again, I herald that year so much in Stardom, because you had Shuri that just felt so dominant as Red Belt champion, and Saya Kamitani as the Wonder of Stardom champion. They had a great 1-2 punch, and they had it here with Mike and Soriano. And you kind of wonder, what would a Micah versus Soriano match look like? And we got a little glimpse of that here. And Rob Goodwin, it'll look awesome. It would look awesome, because I thought their exchanges were good here. Anytime we get Mina and Tam in the ring, especially the fact that like things in this match started out hot and heavy, and then once it got to Mina and Tam, they kind of slowed things down and kind of looked at each other like there's no love lost here. There's none. Obviously, you know, Tam recruited Mina to be part of Cosmic Angels. Mina did have a title shot at Tam's Wonder of Stardom Championship back in the end of 2021. Mina finally, you know, breaks away from Cosmic Angels, becomes a main eventer in her own right, absolutely earned that right, finally chases down Saya Kamitani to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship, only for Tam to take it off her about a month later. So there's no love lost there. And these two are very hard hitting. And you made mention after the match, they had that stare down afterwards. That's kind of like, we're not done yet. We are not done yet. Not by a long shot, which I absolutely love that we're going to be seeing once Mina comes back from the 5-star, from, her excursion to America over this next month or so. And then whatever Tam does in this tournament. And considering the fact that she was kind of one of the favorites going into this tournament, and now this post-match angle has a lot of people thinking that she may win the whole thing because of what they set up. So I think that when we get off the month of August here, regardless of what happens with Mina over in America and Tam in this tournament, they're both going to be presented in a bigger light. And if we can come together in a Mina versus Tam singles match somewhere down the line, Who knows? Maybe at Dream Queendom at the end of the year, that match does not need a championship. However, if there is one on the line, I wouldn't say no. Again, Xena, she's just terrific here. Her and Mike and Mina, they work so well together, with the take a picture splash that Mike and Mina do. And then they did the anthill. I mean, the Venus Tower. I thought that was really good. And obviously Tam, Natsupoi, and Soriano, they are, in my opinion, the best trio in all of wrestling now that we don't have Utami, Saya, and Azumi. But I think they are terrific. And I think these are really the best option for the Artist of Stardom Championships to be on Tam, Natsupoi, and Soriano, not only from a work rate standpoint, but just from a star standpoint. Again, Tam Nakano is an absolute huge star. She's a ticket mover for this company. Natsupoi, the current Wonder of Stardom champion, and the Soriano has been nothing but hit home run after home run these last 6 or 7 months in Stardom. And these, as a team and as a trio, I think these are the best possibility to be the Artists of Stardom champions. Really great closing sequence with Xena and Tam really laying to each other, which I thought was some really, really good stuff. I liked how they teased the violent screwdriver at the end, only for Xena to get out. I thought that was really cool. But ultimately, Tam goes back to the move, the same move that helped bring her so many wins and so many championships, to put away the EXV team of Mina, Xena, and Micah. I was at 4.5 stars, and I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is my favorite Artist of Stardom championship match since last year's Dream Queendom, which saw the Prominence team lose to the team of Kairi, Natsupoi, and Soriano as part of Restart. So, really good stuff, and just shows you how great Natsupoi and Soriano are, not only as a tag team, not only as singles wrestlers, but as part of a trio. So, excellent stuff here, my man. Again, 4.5 stars, and a really great match for this to be the last match going into the 5-star Grand Prix. And then we get some post-match interviews, and we get some post-match angles, and I'll let you take it away from there, my man.
Yeah, it's not like anything important happened. So Mina Shirakawa devastated again to lose to Tam, as she repeatedly does. Hasn't beaten Tam in singles action, I don't believe. Is on the microphone crying, said that she is going to go to America to spread the word of EXV. Hopefully she will be back. We do actually get clarification, which is good, finally, a week before the tournament starts, that she's not going to be in the tournament, which I think everyone had guessed when they announced the full field. But sort of explains as to why. Hopefully she comes back and we get, a huge angle for her coming back, especially as Hate seemed to be on this idol killer train. And one would argue that Mina is one of the biggest idols in Stardom and will be certainly someone that Hate would target. So a big storyline potentially there, especially if Natsuko Tora is still red belt champion as well. That, upon me, that could be somewhere we go later on down the line. Hate stormed the ring after Tam sort of tries to sign off the show. Tora wraps a chair around Tam's leg, the same knee, by the way, that she injured last year in a match with Tora. So I thought that was a nice touch. Destroyed the chair with her baseball bat, and then had Saya Kamitani hold her in place while she cut off an absolute shed load of her hair, which, again, this is such a different feel than a Wedatai, because if this had just been your Wedatai coming out, challenging Tam, and then leaving, it's this same tired old thing. But it wasn't a case of words here. Yeah, they said stuff, but it was a case of, you've got Natsupoi being held in the corner by Tekla's boot. You've got whoever it is. I think it's Rina holding Sayori Anu down. And then you've just got Tora ripping great hunks of Tam's hair out. It's a really, really cool visual. And they just say, look, we're coming after idols, Tam, and you're next. Tekla then gets down, informs us that Hate stands for harass, abuse, terrorize, and eradicate, which is a stupid thing for it to be called. However, the venom with which Tekla delivers it immediately makes it feel cooler than it is. So fair play to Tekla. I feel like they had to come up with something for Hate to stand for, and they just thought, think of angry words, and that's just what they came up with. And Tam obviously closes the show saying that she's going to fight until the end for Stardom. She's not going to let Tora have her way. But Matt, immediately this hate faction delivering on their actual promises, which unfortunately has been a symptom of a Wedded Ties decline over the last couple of years, is the fact that they've just felt like a faction that was present without a real agenda. And they've sort of, when last week when we were talking about, when as a faction that has been trying to destroy it, like their employer from the inside, when has that ever been booked well? Well, we've sort of corrected ship here, and we're actually very explicitly targeting idols. We're not targeting Stardom. We're not trying to destroy Stardom. We are targeting idols. We are destroying idols, idol culture, people who represent that culture. And that is a far, far better thing to be targeting. And I think in general, hate came out of this show having answered emphatically a lot of the questions that we had last week.
Yeah, and again, I made mention, Rob, I just want to back up and I want to put over Tekla here for giving a great promo. And I made mention that I knew the results of the show on Sunday, but I didn't get to see it until Monday night. And I was like, oh, that's kind of the acronym for which HATE stands for. That's kind of dumb, but whatever. But I just read it. And then when I actually watched the promo, I'm like, Tekla was giving like C- material and turned it into an A+ promo. But that just goes to show you how. That just goes to show you how great Tekla is. And the fact that even when we, the beginning of the show, we talked about the press conference where Tekla was able to give a promo in like 3 different languages. I was like, oh my goodness, like this is absolutely fantastic. Nobody else on the stage can do this. Like, no disrespect to Tekla, she's not as good as a Mayu in the ring or Momo Watanabe. But then again, really, who is? But the fact that she's able to cut these promos in a certain way and do it in like 3 different languages really just adds to her character. So I thought that was really cool. Again, she took material that was C-level at best and turned it into A+ promo. That just goes to show you how great of a promo that she is. So I thought that really added to it. I like the attack. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Don't clip this, Rob. I like the attack on Tam because Tam just had this big moment. Like she tried to recruit Soriano to be full-time member of this group. Her and Natsupoi were going back and forth, whether they're friends, they weren't, this or that. And now finally everybody's on the same page. They get their big win. She gets the Artist of Stardom Championship back under this new version of Cosmic Angels, which, no disrespect to Mina a couple years ago and Unagi, as far as work rate goes, this is the best version of Cosmic Angels. Nobody can deny that. You can take Tam, Natsupoi, Soriano, and put them in any main event in any show, and it's going to deliver and draw tickets. So Tam finally gets this big win. They're united. They're Artists of Stardom champions. They got the Wonder of Stardom Championship in the camp. They're all favorites to go really far in this tournament. And then what happens? They literally take the air out of Tam's balloon by the new group Hate coming in and beating up Tam. Not only that, but you have Tora smashing in the injured knee of Tam that, again, you made mention she injured last year in the same match with Tora. And then they cut off Tam's hair. Rob Goodwin, Natsuko Tora, became my wife's favorite wrestler for all of about 24 hours. And I'll explain why she does not like Tora anymore when we get into our pick'ems for the 5-star Grand Prix, because she was very vocal about Natsuko Tora. I'll just say it right now. She's very vocal about Natsuko Tora not being in this tournament. Last night when she was picking her winners, she goes, wait, where's Tora? She's my new favorite. I said, where's Tora? She's like, she's not in the tournament. She's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't she be in the tournament? Okay, well, who are the champions? Because she hasn't watched Stardom that much the past couple months. And she's like, well, Tora's the red belt champion and she's not in this tournament. She's like, that makes no sense whatsoever. She's like, I don't like her now. It's like, okay, all right. Now we're back on the hate train. See what I did there? I thought that was really funny. But again, I like this post-match angle. Not only are we setting up for a Tam versus Tora match somewhere down the line for the World of Stardom Championship. Again, Tam never lost that belt, but now we have a lot of people thinking like, maybe Tam's going to win the tournament. Maybe we're going to get a lot of steam on Tam and she's going to win the tournament. She's going to be the one to dethrone Tora, or maybe Tora gets dethroned somewhere down the line by a Micah or something like that. There's a lot of different ways we can go, but we kind of figured up until about 2 weeks ago that it's probably going to be Saya Kamitani's tournament to win because of her building back up. And there's still some people, and we'll get into it, that think that Saya's going to win. And we thought last week after the heel turn, maybe it's going to be Micah. Now a lot of people are saying it could be Tam, but now we have Tam with a new hairdo. Now, partner, I don't know if you noticed, but about an hour before we hit the record button, Tam posted a basically half selfie of her where it's like maybe like 25% of her face. and it looked like that she got short hair. So we may see a different style of Tam, a new different hairstyle of Tam Nakano coming into the 5-star Grand Prix, which is going to be really, really interesting. But this also sets up somewhere down the line, Artist of Stardom Championship match with Tam, Suri, and Natsupoi versus, you could throw any one of the 84 members of Hate on there. Is it going to be Tora? Is it going to be Tekla? Is it going to be Momo? Is it going to be Saya Kamitani? Is it going to be Rina? I mean, you really can be any three or it could be two different defenses. You literally can have, okay, we're going to send Konami, Rina, and Momo out there, and they may lose. Okay, let's send Tekla, or Tora, Tekla, and Ruwaka. You literally can set up 2 championship matches back to back with Hate trying to get these belts off Cosmic Angels. So there was a lot of really cool stuff that they set up, not only at this show, but at the end of the show as well. Again, with Mina saying, which we kind of figured, the reason why she's not in the 5-star. We planted the seeds to something with Tam and Mina coming, going into the fall and winter months. And then we set up this really, really cool angle that we really, really now see Tam Nakano as a possible winner of this tournament. All in all, my man, I much like this post-match angle better for this show than the show they did the week prior.
I mean, to be fair, like we weren't big on Hate like at all, and it does still feel somewhat like Saya Kamitani, like Natsuko and Tekla have been told by their mum to make sure that they bring their younger sister out with them. And that's very much how it feels, that Saya has been bought out by her older sister who has been smoking behind the bike sheds. However, the difference between Hate and House of Torture is that Hate, because that was the issue we had, we didn't want Hate to become Stardom's version of a completely ineffective faction like House of Torture. And the difference is, Hate very, very much have an agenda, have something that they want to achieve, and they're already setting about doing it. They're not messing about or dicking about. Because of Dick Togo. See? God, I'm good.
I'll tell you what. We're on a roll today. We didn't even get to the main crux of the show, folks. I hope you're strapped in.
Oh, God. And I thought I'd peaked with Nats 2 So, yeah.
You might have.
Oh, yeah, true. I do like the fact that Hate have managed to correct shit, because I do feel like the way they debuted, the whole Saya thing, could have derailed the new faction, which I didn't want, because I said, like, last week, Oeda's Hive needed a rebrand for, nigh on 18 months. So I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of how they did it, and I'm a big fan that they have a directive and they're sticking to it. Of course, they're going to target Tam. No one embodies idol culture in Stardom more than Tam, with the possible exception of Mina, which is perhaps where we're going next. All in all, made sense. Really good end to the show. And really, really, really good stuff. But Matt Turner, we are approaching the 10th of August. And why is that important? Well, that is because it's the first night, the opening night of the 5-star Grand Prix. Now, obviously, there are some of you out there who don't know what this tournament is, some of you who are completely in the know as to what this tournament is, but we're going to give you an incredibly in-depth primer of the 5-star Grand Prix, so that hopefully when we come out of this, you've got all the information you need to make the informed decision of who's going to win the tournament, and then feel that immense sense of disappointment when that person gets knocked out in the first round. So,
this isn't the Cinderella tournament, buddy. This isn't me. I was going to say me and you, but I can't say that anymore because you had the big Hanan win. So it doesn't matter. We could be doing this podcast another 20 years. You always can say, Matt, you remember when I picked Hanan to win. But that's neither here nor there, brother.
That's true. I mean, I've never picked oh, no, I did. Didn't we both pick Julia for 2022? I think we both picked Julia for that.
We sure did.
But yeah, so the 5-star Grand Prix is Stardom's annual round-robin tournament. Up until this year, it had always been 2 blocks, where the 2-block winners would then face off, with the winner then getting a title shot. Ordinarily, at the red belt, though there have been some occasions where it's been the white belt, or on one occasion the tag team belts, for some reason when Io Shirai won it back in 2014. But ordinarily it is the red belt. This year, 2024, is the first year that Stardom have adopted the 4-block system. This is something that New Japan used to do in the G1 Climax, then moved to 2 blocks, then moved back to 4 blocks, and then gone back to 2 blocks again. This is the first year since the first 5-star Grand Prix, which has been running since 2012, that they have gone to the 4-block formula. Now, Matt, I know that you love a statistic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5-star Grand Prix by the numbers. So a couple of statistics about the tournament in general and the field in general. 13 is our first number. It's the times the 5-star Grand Prix has run, including this year. 28, and that is the competitors. It's the largest field in tournament history. 4, as I've already mentioned, the blocks. The first time the tournament has had this structure. 3, which is the amount of previous winners in this year's tournament. Mayu Iwatani won the tournament back in 2018. Syuri won the tournament back in 2021. And then Suzu Suzuki won last year's tournament, beating Maika in the final. Of the 28 competitors, 9 are tournament debutantes. In total, only 2 people in the 84 competitors who have gone into the 5-star Grand Prix over the years, only 2 people have made it to 2 finals. Everybody else has only made it to 1 final, and not one person has won the tournament more than once. We will have had 13 tournaments at the end of 2024. There have been 12 tournaments prior and 12 different winners. Will this be the first year that we get a repeat winner? Who knows? It can only be Mayu, Syuri, or Suzu if that's the case. 44 is our next number. That is the most total block match victories, which is held by Mayu Iwatani. Matt, I know that I've already given you this statistic. 28, which is the most total block match losses. Can you remember who holds that record?
My cosmic angel herself, my personal Twilight Dream one, Tam Nakano, which will all make it so much sweeter when she not only wins the tournament but goes undefeated. That won't happen, folks. She may win the tournament, but I don't think she'll go undefeated. But no, you asked me this last year, and I didn't know it was Tam, and then you told me it was Tam, and then maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago you mentioned the statistic of Mayu and Tam. And again, I mean, the fact that Mayu has the most wins, Tam has the most losses. And Rob Goodwin, what's going to be a major match on night 1? Tam versus Mayu. So that's a cool little interesting statistic and booking that is done here.
Well, before I carry on with the numbers, I'm glad you brought that up. Mayu versus Tam. The last 3 singles matches that Mayu and Tam have had have all ended in time limit draws. So again, it could be the moment where Tam finally gets that victory over Mayu, because their record currently stands at 3 Mayu Iwatani victories and 3 time limit draws. So can Tam finally overcome the Iwatani mountain? Speaking of Mayu Iwatani, she holds the highest block win percentage of any competitor in the tournament this year, 61.97%. Just to make you feel better about Tam Nakano, she, alongside Julia, hold the record for the most ever block points in one sitting, which was 16 points. Both women got to 16 points in the 2022 5-star. There are 39 first-time single matchups in this tournament. So with Tomoka Inaba, with Manami, with Anna Jay, and with Xena as well, there are a lot of matches that have not happened before, which is really, really, really exciting. I've already mentioned that altogether there have been 84 competitors in 5-star Grand Prix history. I've got 2 more numbers for you. 44, which is the amount of seconds the shortest match in tournament history lasted. I've already mentioned it today. Saki Kashima defeating Izumi on the final night of the 2022 5-star Grand Prix.
And her birthday.
And her birthday. And she come out in new gear as well.
Yeah. And if you remember, and I'm 99% sure I'm right on this statistic, because again, this is 2020 22, and I know that tournament pretty well. Had Azumi gotten the win, she would have went to the finals. So
Yep.
not only did she lose, she lost in record time, in her new gear, on her birthday, and block her going to the finals. Not a good way to start your birthday, but we love us some Azumi.
I'm sure she was one of like 6 people that ended on 14 points in that block as well. And the final one is the number 2. This is only the second time in tournament history, bearing in mind there have been 12 tournaments, that the World of Stardom champion hasn't been in the tournament. Natsuko, of course, decided she was going to withdraw from this tournament, instead replacing herself with the Violent Freezer herself, Ruaka. I can't say that seriously. I've really, really tried to say that seriously.
Folks, that's what they're really calling her. This isn't like Rob trying to be funny,
no.
Even though it did come off as funny because everybody knows that you're a very quippy and funny partner.
Thank you.
No, that's really that's her really new nickname. So I'm excited to see the next T-shirt. And if that T-shirt does come out as well as it should, don't forget, folks, Rob's birthday is in April, so start saving.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of a place where the Violent Freezer t-shirt wouldn't be appropriate. The only other time that the Red Belt champion has not been a part of the 5-star Grand Prix was when Meiko Satomura was champion in 2015, and that's because she wasn't part of the company. She was obviously part of Sendai Girls. But that's a little bit about the 5-star Grand Prix. This tournament is due to be one of the shortest as well, running at just 3 weeks, starting on the 10th of August and finishing on the 31st, which is, considering the last 2 tournaments have gone over a month, considering we've got 3 weeks and I believe 9 shows, they're going to condense this really, really, really well, taking into account, Matt, that last year the sheer volume of shows that we had, the fact that we had pay-per-views in the middle of the tournament, we had all sorts, was leading to injuries all over the place. I mean, we spoke about it earlier. Saya Kamitani went down with injury, Utami went down with injury, and Starlight Kid went down with injury, and that was just solely during the tournament. We then had Mayu go out, we then had Tam go out, we then had who else did we have go out with injury? We had someone else as well go out with injury as well partway through. So it's
Starlight Kid, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, Starlight Kid.
So it's good to see that we are trying to condense not only the amount of shows, but also the fact that we are trying to make this shorter, taking into account what happened last year. In terms of Red Stars, so Red Stars A and Red Stars B, they are going to be on the same night. So what we're going to be doing for the most part for this tournament is we're going to be alternating. So night 1 is in the Yokohama Budokan, August 10th. That show is going to have both Red Stars and Blue Stars action. So both blocks of Red Stars and both blocks of Blue Stars. The only other night that happens is night 5, I believe. Night 4, on the 15th of August in Korakuen Hall. So that will be both Red and Blue Stars block, and the block final night, where that's going to be in Yamagata Big Wing on the 25th of August. So aside from that, it's going to be alternating with Red Stars on one night, A and B, and Blue Stars on the next night, A and B. In terms of the quarters and semi-finals, again, this is the first time that Stardom have adopted quarterfinals and semi-finals into a 5-star Grand Prix. The person who finishes top of Red Stars A will take on the runner-up in Red Stars B. The same with Red Stars A. So the winner of Red Stars A will take on the runner-up. No, sorry. The second place of Red Stars A will take on the winner of Red Star B. The same with Blue Stars. Both those quarterfinals will take place at Shinjuku Face on the 28th of August, both Red and Blue Star quarterfinals. The semi-finals and the final will then be on the 31st of August. So a lot of things to get into, Matt. There's a whole host of info regarding the competitors. But before I go into that, is there anything that you would like to talk about? This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you've set aside some time away from social media every day, Maybe you find the time to put on your favourite Mayu Iwatani match. Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed like Ryogoku with kids' activities, big work projects and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. It's so important to make time for yourself, even when life can get so hectic. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to become the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's a service that is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/stardom today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/stardom. And now back to today's episode.
Rob, you mentioned great numbers and fantastic job. And folks, Rob has, he sent me yesterday his entire thing that he did for this 5-star tournament, which you're going to be seeing coming up on our Twitter page and I believe the website in the next few days. And I'm not just saying this because Rob, obviously we do the Stardom cast together and he's a buddy of mine. This might be some of Rob's best work, which is saying a lot considering the fact his 2 Stardom books are terrific. Obviously, we have provided notes for big companies like AEW, New Japan, and by say we provide it, Rob does like 90-some-odd% of the work, and I just oversee it. This is Rob's best work. This is absolutely fantastic. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not kissing his ass. Wait till you see all the dedication, hard work, and love he put into this review. And again, we made mention before a couple times in this podcast, there's a lot of new viewers to Stardom, a lot of new people. This is their first 5-star Grand Prix. This guy that Rob had put together is going to help you each step of the way. So I just want to put you over more than I usually do, partner. So kudos to you. Excellent, excellent job, brother. Great job with everything that you did. I'm excited for it to be published so the world can see how talented of a person that you are. Now, I just want to I want to see if I have my trivia right here, buddy. You mentioned about a minute or two ago, there's only been 2 wrestlers in the history of this 5-star Grand Prix that made it to the finals, correct?
They've made it to the finals more than once, yes.
More than one. I mean, yes, they made it to the finals more than once. I want to see if I get this right. Is it Yoko Bito in 2016 and 2017?
It is indeed.
Okay, well, she lost to Toni Storm in 2016 and then defeated Tessa Blanchard in 17, correct?
Other way around. Defeated Tessa Blanchard in 16, lost to Toni Storm in 17.
Oh, okay. All right. And then... Oh, this one I know for a fact. It was Utami Hayashishita in her rookie year making it to the finals in 2018 to lose to Mayu, and then 2 years later defeated Himeka in the finals of the 2020, correct?
Correct. Speaking of people who've got fantastic 5-star records, Himeka is up there as one of the most winningest people in 5-star history, considering she never won a tournament. But let's have a look at this Red Stars block. Before we get into the schedule and everything like that, let's have a look at the Red Stars block. So let's start with Red Stars, a 7-person block. Top 2 go through. So 5 people will be eliminated at the end of the Yamagata Big Wing show. Red Stars A has Maika, Hazuki, Ruaka, Natsupoi, Konami, Minami of Sendai Girls, and Yuna Mizumori, who won the Red Star qualifier to take her place in this final. We're going to start with Maika, the Crimson Empress herself. Faction allegiance, she is, of course, co-leader of Empress Nexus Venus. This will be her 5th tournament appearance. Her tournament best is she was a finalist last year, 2023, losing to Suzu Suzuki. Her all-time 5-star record, 20 wins, 13 losses, and 4 draws, giving her a block match winning percentage of 54.05. Her 2023 record saw her get 12 points with a record of 5-2-2. First time matchups, Natsupoi on the opening night, which I was really surprised about. I thought we'd seen Maika versus Natsupoi, but apparently not. Yuna Mizumori, she currently has a 1-0 record against. She's got her on the 11th. Konami, Maika boasts a 2-0 victory record over her, 15th of August in Korakuen. 2-0 against Ruaka on the 18th. Hazuki is a first-time singles match. That is on the 23rd in Sendai. And then she ends her tournament against Manami, another first-time singles match, on the 25th in Yamagata. I expect Maika to still be in contention, Matt, on the final night. I think of the 7 people in this block, I would be very, very, very surprised if she didn't make it out of it.
Yeah, out of my 8 people that I have going to the quarterfinals, when this tournament's over, if you were to say, Matt, I got in the Goodwin DeLorean and I went to the future, or I got the Time Stone from Thanos and I went to the future, you only have 1 person out of the 8 right to go to the quarterfinals. I would bet a decent amount of money that it would be Maika, because she just lost the belt. We want to heat her back up again. I fully expect her to make it to the quarterfinals. But I got to make mention that I mentioned how Maika, in my opinion, we're 7 months into this year. She's a top 5 wrestler in all of wrestling for me, going into the month of August, considering the fact that she has a murderous row of matches here. Again, Natsupoi, Yuna Mizumori, Konami. The Ruaka match is going to be interesting because obviously Ruaka is part of that hate group. Manami, I think Manami is somebody that's not going to get a lot of points, but is going to be a sleeper in this tournament, that we're not talking about potential somebodies that can steal the show. And obviously that match with Hazuki. I think that this tournament, when it's all said and done, whether Maika makes it to the quarterfinals, semifinals, or finals, I think when this tournament's all said and done, I think Maika is going to be able to put a bigger stake in her claim for one of, if not the wrestler of the year in all of wrestling.
So moving on, we'll do sort of a summary at the end of the block, just sort of as to who we think is going to be making their way out of that block, etc. We move on to Natsupoi, the high-speed fairy, Wonder and Artist of Stardom champion, currently the only champion in this block, and therefore coming into the tournament with something of a target on her back. Of course, any champions that lose during this tournament don't lose their belts, but there are necessary title matches then sort of set up. So, for example, if Maika were to pin Natsupoi on the opening night, Maika then has a claim to the white belt. In terms of Natsupoi faction allegiance, the Cosmic Angels. This will be her 5th tournament. She debuted in 2016. That was her first tournament. Her tournament best is 12 points back in 2022. Boasts an all-time 5-star record of 16 victories, 18 losses, and 2 time limit draws, giving her a block match winning percentage of 44.44%. And she ended 2023 with 11 points after that stellar tournament. 5 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. In terms of a match calendar, Maika on the opening now, which we've already discussed. Yuna Mizumori, who she has a 1-0 record against, on the 12th. Ruaka, first-time matchup at Korakuen Hall on the 15th. Konami, who Natsupoi has a 1-0 record against, that's on the 18th. Manami, which of course is a first-time matchup, as all of Manami's matches are, on the 23rd. And then one to keep an eye on, 25th of August, Yamagata Big Wing, final night of block action, Hazuki. Natsupoi has never beaten Hazuki in singles matches, has an 0-2 record against Hazuki, and I do have a sneaking suspicion that that could play heavily into who goes through into the quarterfinals from Red Star's AMAT.
Yeah, again, Natsupoi is somebody that's been on an absolute tear. She was I think both me and you we both pegged her, or both had her as the MVP of last year's tournament, and she just happened to get injured halfway through that final match with Tam Nakano on the final night. Natsupoi has a lot of momentum going in, finally winning that Wonder of Stardom Championship. And it's going to be interesting to see, how many L's that she has here, considering the fact that she does have a target on her back, or a white belt on her back. See what I did there? Nice. So basically anybody that does defeat Natsupoi in this tournament can lay claim to be getting a title shot. A Maika Natsupoi Wonder of Stardom Championship match obviously we wouldn't say no to, but we think there's bigger plans for Micah. But the two matches I'm looking at between now and the end of the year for possible Wonder of Stardom Championship matches is coming out of this tournament is Natsupoi versus Hazuki. Hell yes, my man. And I think Natsupoi and Konami would be a terrific match. So, really interested to see if Natsupoi can keep up the momentum that she had last year going into this year's tournament.
Quick question before we move on to the other block members, and obviously I know that we've already said we're not going to go into all the tournament bits, but do you see Natsupoi getting out of this block?
You want my I'm going to give you an answer, but I have my picks. I'm just going to tell you no, and then we'll get into that when I get into who I picked for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and my winners.
I don't think she gets out of this block either, which is wild when you think that she's the only champion in this block. And spare a thought for Micah, who has had a week, hasn't she? She was two-belt Micah and has lost both in the space of a week.
Well, wait a minute. Hazuki's the champion. She's the people's champion, buddy.
Damn right she is. Damn right she is. And moving on to the people's champion herself, Hazuki.
What a segue.
The Wild Heart Hazuki then, Faction Allegiance Stars. This will be her 6th tournament appearance, made her first appearance back in 2017. Her tournament best was block runner-up in 2018. She has an all-time 5-star record of 23 wins, 18 losses and 2 draws, which gives her a block match winning percentage of 53.49%. Anything over 50% is a pretty good record in terms of the 5-star Grand Prix. 2023 record, 10 points is what she finished on, 5 victories and 4 losses. Her match calendar looks like this. Minami on the opening night in Yokohama Budokan, first time matchup. Ruaka, who she has a 1-1 record with. On the 11th, Konami, who she has a 1-0-1 record against on the 12th. Yuna Mizumori, who she has a 1-0 record. That's in 18th of August. Micah, obviously that first time matchup on the 23rd in Sendai. And then, of course, that match that I think we're all highlighting. Natsupoi, 25th of August. 2-0 record against Natsupoi. I'll be perfectly honest, Matt. I think we've sort of gone through the two that are going to, in my eyes, come out of this group. Now, obviously, you can't discount the two members of Hate, who we're going to get into in a moment, because Ruaka especially, I feel like, will be relying on a lot of outside interference, and that could potentially throw a spanner into a lot of matches. However, if you are going on sort of pure wrestling, I think that Micah and Hazuki are my two to go through to the quarterfinals, with Natsupoi losing on that final night to Hazuki. However, I feel like Konami is another one that will be there and thereabouts, and I'm going to get into Konami in a moment. But the Wild Heart Hazuki, Matt, she's got to win. She's got to win against Hazuki. That set up that white belt match. If she beats Hazuki, I don't mind if she doesn't win the tournament. I honestly don't mind. However, if she doesn't get through the block and doesn't beat Natsupoi, I'm going to be devastated.
Yeah, considering the fact, and again, we know we have a lot of new listeners and a lot of new watchers to Stardom. And if you are subscribed to Stardom World, folks, I know you're going to be busy in the month of August. Go back and watch Suzuki's entire run in the 2022 5-star Grand Prix. I actually did a complete review on our Patreon, which I believe we're going to be releasing. I'm releasing a couple things from the vault this month. I believe we might be releasing that one, that review of the 2022 5-star Grand Prix, because it is a phenomenal run from Hazuki. And buddy, again, we kind of talked off air through text messages. I think it was just yesterday about how loaded this night one is of fantastic matches with Azumi, Momo Watanabe, Micah, Natsupoi. We just talked about, obviously, Mayu and Tam. This Suzuki versus Minami match might be one that may steal the undercard. It really can. Obviously, we love Hazuki. She's fantastic. She's one of our favorite wrestlers in all of wrestling. Minami, who we've only seen a handful of matches from, just because we really don't watch the company. I believe she works for Sendai Girls, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so we don't watch a lot of Sendai Girls, which is now up on Wrestle World, which we like. But all the stuff that we've seen from her, we're really impressed with. So I wouldn't be shocked if when we're reviewing this first show next week that we say that, man, Hazuki and Manami, that was really a sleeper pick for night one of the 5-star Grand Prix. And I think this is going to be a great way to start the tournament, not only for Hazuki, but Manami. But yeah, I agree. We got to pull the trigger on Hazuki. We keep getting teased time and time again. And granted, some of that is just me and you just building her up in our own head because we love Hazuki so much. But I think this is going to be a big, big tournament for Hazuki, especially the fact that we have more eyes on Stardom than we ever have before. I think she's going to come away with this tournament as a fan favorite, very much like she already is, but even a bigger fan favorite.
Moving on then to the submission sniper, Konami. I know that she is known as something else. She has got a new nickname as well, but I can't find the proper translation of it. So I'm just keeping with the old nickname of the submission sniper. I do feel like it fits her character anyway. She is, of course, a member of Hate. This will be her 6th tournament. It will be her first since 2021. Made a debut in 2017. Her tournament best is she was a finalist in 2019, losing to Hana Kimura in the final. She has an all-time 5-star record of 18, 19, and 1, which gives her a block match winning percentage of 47.37%. Obviously, she didn't participate in last year's tournament. Her record and match calendar look like this. She opens against Ruaka on the 10th, who she's never faced in singles action. Manami on the 11th, who she's also never faced. Hazuki, as we know, on the 12th, she's got a losing record. No wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. She has got an 0-2 record against Maika, has never beaten Maika in singles action either. That's at Korakuen Hall, 15th of August. Natsupoi with that 0-1 record on the 18th. And then Yuna Mizumori, who we haven't seen her in singles competition against. Her final match is on the 23rd in Sendai. Matt, I imagine that Konami will be there or thereabouts. However, she is the member of Red Stars A that has that bye on the final night. So I don't know how much store you put into that. But, you know, it could be a case of she is in top spot and it takes victories on the last night to knock her off and knock her out. Or, you know what, she might go through. It wouldn't surprise me if Konami is the sleeper one to go through.
Yeah, it's a possibility because we may be seeing some of these members of Hate, you know, maybe more than just one going through. I mean, it could be something where we're kind of going to throw a monkey in the wrench of some of the booking. You know, maybe it is, you know, Konami versus, you know, maybe versus Mayu or Konami versus Tam, considering the fact that we're really interjecting Tam into the big Hate storyline. So that is a possibility. I mean, this is Konami's first 5-star Grand Prix since, I believe, 2021. Obviously, we're penciling the Hazuki match. That's going to be violent. The Natsupoi match, the Maika match. The one match that I think that may not steal the show, but be one of those hidden gems that we talk about at the end of the month when we do our review of this entire tournament is with Yuna Mizumori, because we know Yuna likes to throw those lariats. Yeah. And we know that Konami likes to work the arm between the arm bar. Obviously, the triangle lancer is her go-to finisher, and as well as the Nagata lock, that belly down arm bar. So it's going to be a case of a really simple story where these two are just going to hit each other really, really hard. And can Yuna throw enough lariats to the point where Konami is she going to be able to catch the lariat to build up her arm work? And then again, we have that Hate versus Cosmic Angel storyline that we kind of planted seeds to at the show that we just reviewed, the show from this past Sunday. And considering the fact that you have Yuna that is in Cosmic Angels and Konami that is in Hate, so you have a lot of cool stuff there. So I'm really looking forward to see what Konami can do in this tournament.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on to the violent Freezer herself.
I love it.
Yeah, Ruaka. Again, member of Hate. She was originally eliminated from qualification after losing to Yuna Mizumori, and then has just been reinserted by Natsuko Tora in a decision that still makes absolutely zip sense, but there we are. She hasn't appeared in the tournament since 2021. It's currently her only tournament appearance. She finished last in the block and didn't record a single victory in that tournament, has an all-time 5-star record, therefore, of 0-9, and doesn't have a winning percentage. She also wasn't in the tournament last year. In terms of a match calendar, obviously, we've already talked about it. Konami on the opening night has never faced her, has a drawing record against Hazuki on the second night on the 11th. Minami, never seen them in singles competition on the 12th. Natsupoi in Korakuen Hall on the 15th. I can see, stupid as it sounds, I can see Ruaka picking up the victory against Natsupoi in Korakuen Hall. I'll talk about that in a minute. 15th of August, that match. Maika, who she is 0-2 against on the 18th. And then Yuna Mizumori, the only competitor that Ruaka has a winning record against, 2-1. And that is on the 25th of August in Yamagata Big Wing. So, a couple of things to note from this. I think Ruaka plays spoiler to a couple of people. I still fully anticipate her finishing bottom of the block. I do think that she will beat Natsupoi at Korakuen Hall, if only because of hate interference, because of, as you've already mentioned, Matt, the hate and Cosmic Angels feud that seems to be going on. I think Yuna Mizumori beats her on the final night as well. I'm not expecting big things from Ruaka. I think she's a solid enough hand, but I'm not expecting her to be challenging the block or being anywhere near. And I've actually, in our 5-star pick'ems, I've actually got her as the person with the least amount of points. And I don't think that's an outrageous claim, Matt.
No, let me ask you this, Rob. Does she eat more pinfalls and submissions than does she eat disqualifications? Because I can see her maybe getting one win, but I can see her looking at the lights 2 or 3 times, but I can see her getting DQ'd 2 or 3 times. Do you think there's going to be any wrestler in this tournament that gets disqualified more than Ruaka?
I mean, she is a violent freezer, so...
always go back to that.
Honestly,
it always works.
Honestly, I know that it's a very literal translation, but even so...
Do you think when she does the freezer bomb, she should wrap herself up into like those freezer packs that you put in your lunch bag? Yes,
absolutely what you should do. Absolutely what you should do. Right. So Tom, who told me that it was the violent freezer, it's the literal translation of her Japanese nickname, not an official translation to English. So, but even so, violent freezer is what she's now going to be known as. Look. I don't agree with her being in the tournament anyway, because she got DQ'd. However, it does further the storyline with Yuna, who, of course, Yuna beat her in the qualification tournament via DQ, but still beat her. And then, of course, they are facing off on the final night as well, so it wouldn't surprise me if Yuna Mizumori gets a win back on that final night in Yamagata. But yeah, I don't have massive hopes for Ruaka in this tournament. I just keep looking at the block and thinking, if Tora was in this block, Maika, Natsupoi, Hazuki Konami, Tora, and Yuna Mizumori, like that would have been really, really tasty. Yeah, it would have been, and it would have made things a little bit more interesting at the top of the block as well.
Yeah, what do we know?
Moving on to Yuna Mizumori. Tropical Yahoo Yuna Mizumori. Obviously another Cosmic Angel. This will be her tournament debut, which means that she doesn't have a tournament best or a record so far. She is 0-1 against Maika, who she opens her tournament against on the 11th, so she's not in action on the 10th. She is 0-1 against Natsupoi, who she faces on the 12th. Minami, first-time singles match in Korakuen Hall. She's then facing Hazuki on the 18th, who she's 0-1 against. Konami in a first-time singles match on the 23rd. And then, as I've mentioned, Ruaka, 1-2 losing record in Yamagata Big Wing. I think that she's going to have very good matches. As you mentioned, Matt, Yuna Mizumori was one of those that improved tremendously last year, almost unrecognisably so. She is another one, though, that I imagine will be staring at the lights more often than not. I can't see her getting too many points. However, it wouldn't surprise me if the only 2 points she gets are against Ruaka on that final night.
Rob, you might want to add something to you're already in crazy impressive to the numbers thing that you just did a few minutes ago. This tournament has a lot of wrestlers that have never lost in the 5-star Grand Prix, and Yuna Mizumori is one of them. Obviously, you have Toginova, you have Anna Jay, you have
Manami.
Rani Yagami, Konami. So we have a lot of undefeated people going into this tournament. Mayu can't say that. Clearly Tam can't say that. Anywho,
Big
I'm so
loser.
happy. Anyway, violence. Anyway, I'm so glad that Yuna's in this tournament. When they mentioned how many people are going to be in this tournament, we kind of figured you get your Micahs, you get your Tams, your Mayus. We were really hoping that Yuna Mizumori would be somebody that was going to be in this tournament because she is somebody over the last 12, 14 months that has clearly earned her spot in this tournament. But I agree. I think she's going to be eating a lot of L's, especially the fact that you have Konami, you have Hazuki, Micah, Natsupoi. I see Manami getting a few wins as well, just to kind of shine her up to go back over to Sendai Girls. But just the energy that Yuna brings and the fact that her match quality is always really good. Are you going to be getting those 5-star matches that we've been seeing with Mayu and Micah from her? No, not really. But you're going to be seeing any stinkers? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, Yuna Mizumori for me was the most improved wrestler in all of wrestling last year, and I'm really excited to see what this tournament is going to do for her because I'm such a big fan of Yuna Mizumori.
Moving on then, final person in Red Star's Block A is Manami. Let's 4, apparently, is her nickname, from Sendai Girls. Obviously, this is her tournament debut as well. First-time singles matches against everyone in the block. She starts off against Hazuki on the 10th of August, then against Konami on the 11th, Ruaka on the 12th, Yuna Mizumori in Korakuen Hall on the 15th, Natsupoi in Sendai Pit on the 23rd, and then Micah in Yamagata on the 25th. Don't know tremendous amount about Manami aside from that tag match from Korakuen Hall with Mikari Wata against Saori Poimat, but I'm looking forward to learning more about her.
Yeah, what a great way to learn more about her, considering the fact that, again, on the first night, she's up against the People's Champion, Hazuki, and then obviously she'll have matches against Micah, Natsupoi, Konami, Yuna, and Ruaka. So this is going to be a really good tournament to again, I don't expect her to be defeating Micah, Natsupoi, and Hazuki in this tournament, but again, I think this is going to be a tournament that she's really going to break out, that somebody we're really going to be paying more attention to at the end of this year and beginning of 2025. But should be a really interesting tournament for Manami because the little bit that I've seen of her, I've been really impressed.
So in terms of Red Stars A then, who do you think is going through, Matt? Who is going through into the quarterfinals out of these 7 women?
Now, do you want, I'll give you my pick and I'll give you Amber's pick. Basically, Andy and Karen, they just kind of gave their overall picks.
That's fine.
So if you want me to, I can give, okay. I think it's going to come down to Hazuki and Natsupoi in that final night, with Hazuki not only getting the win, but locking up the 1 seed. And then I got Micah locking up the 2 seed, where Amber has Micah as the 1 seed, and Natsupoi as the 1 seed and Micah as the 2 seed.
Right, okay, interesting. I'm going roughly the same as you, apart from the fact that I'm going to have Micah as number 1 seed and Hazuki as number 2. I don't think Hazuki loses anything by being the number 2 seed. Micah obviously needs to be kept strong because of losing 2 belts in a week. And I do think that Micah will be there or thereabouts in the tournament final, perhaps even the winner, who knows. So I think she needs to be kept relatively strong. I think Hazuki, in terms of match quality, will have the best of the block, and I think getting that victory over Natsupoi is the most important thing because that cements that all-important white belt shot that we know is coming. She's teased it. We know it's coming. This should be the moment to have it ready for Ryogoku. But what do we know? What do we know? And again, don't sleep on Konami because I genuinely think that Hate will have something to say about this, and I do think that it will be Konami rather than Ruaka. Moving on then to Red Stars B, or as I like to call it, the Group of Death, because Jesus Christ, the talent in this block. Mayu Iwatani, Tam Nakano, Momo Watanabe, Azumi, Mei Seira, Sayarida, and Tomoka Inaba. In terms of 7 people, Matt, I would argue there's very few substitutions you can make there to make it a stronger block. Good grief. If you were to tell me any one of these 7 were to go into the quarterfinals, I would be over the moon. There's not one person that I wouldn't like to see go into the quarterfinals and go deep into the tournament.
Rob, I'm going to make a bold prediction that all 7 of these women are going to go to the quarterfinals.
I think their matches
Why
will be
not?
that good. They'll be that good that they will take up 8 positions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you want to talk about a murderous row of wrestling. I mean, just look at, you have 2 former red belt champions. You have one of the greatest white belt champions of all time in Momo Watanabe. Azumi, in my opinion, is the greatest high-speed champion of all time. May Sarah is the current high-speed champion. And probably the 2 hardest hitters, maybe this entire tournament, and Tomoka Inaba and Saya Iida. I mean, just what an absolute murderous row of wrestlers. And again, me and you do know quite a bit about Tomoka Inaba because we were blown away when we first saw her back in 2022 and we tried to follow her career outside of Stardom, considering the fact that she's been back in Stardom for a little bit. She had the Red Belt Championship match with Micah a couple weeks ago. I know it wasn't Stardom proper, but it was just tap out. And we were completely blown away by, like, okay, if we put Tomoka Inaba at just the young age of 20 or 21, whatever she is, and we put her in a main event match for a Red Belt Championship for Stardom, we know it's going to deliver. So Stardom already knows that if they do sign Tomoka Inaba, and we hope that they do, that we can put her in the main event, whether it's a Korakuen Hall show, KBS Hall show, Yokohama Budokan, and we know it's going to deliver. But this, I mean, we would really have to take a step back and take a look. But this might be the most stacked one block in the history of the 5-star Grand Prix. Like, I don't know if anybody can argue with me on that point. Again, there's only 7 wrestlers because the blocks are divided in 4, where sometimes we'd have 10, 12, or 14. But as far as, like, all killer, no filler, I mean, this is one of the best blocks in Stardom's history.
Yeah, you've always had that sort of, for lack of a better word, that weaker person in the block. You know, I remember you've had Mandy Leon, no disrespect to Mandy Leon, obviously, but she's not of this caliber, for example. There's always been that one person. However, here, you can make a case for all of these women. Absolutely. Like Saya Iida, the progress that she's made is unreal. And then, of course, you've got the Stardom icon and, you know, Momo Watanabe, who you mentioned, the hardest hitters. Saya Iida, Tomoka Inaba, and Momo Watanabe as well is in there. So, what a block. Let's start with the Stardom icon herself, Mayu Iwatani, Stars leader. This will be her 11th tournament, the longest record of consecutive 5-star Grand Prix appearances, made a debut in 2014, previously won the tournament back in 2018, has an all-time 5-star record of 44 wins, 20 losses and 7 draws with a match winning percentage of 61.97. Last year, 11 points, 5 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. Her match calendar and record look like this. Tam Nakano on the opening night. Again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on, she has a 3-0-3 record against Tam in singles, 3 wins and 3 time limit draws. And it is so important to remember that the last 3 singles matches between these 2 women have gone to time limit draws. Do not be surprised if this goes close to the time limit. Saya Iida, her Stars faction mate, on the 11th of August. She's got a 2-0 winning percentage against her. Momo Watanabe, one of the most storied rivalries in Stardom in terms of in-ring is Momo and Mayu. They face off at Korakuen Hall. Mayu slight edge on that with a 5-4-1 record against Momo. Azumi on the 18th of August. She has a 3-0-2 record against Azumi. Azumi never beaten Mayu in singles competition, and then followed by 2 first-time singles matches. May Sarah on the 23rd of August. And oh my God, this Tomoka Inaba match on the 25th of August. I am so excited for that match. They've teased us with the Road 2 shows. They've teased us with these Stardom World shows. I know they're going to deliver at Yamagata Big Wing on the 25th. I am so excited for that match. It's low-key one of the matches I'm most looking forward to. And there are a lot of matches that I am looking forward to, and a lot that aren't just Suzuki matches.
Yeah, and I can't wait till once we get towards the end of this portion or this part of the episode. I want to go through maybe 1 or 2 matches that just off the top of your head you're really looking forward to. You mentioned how Mayu has a winning record against Momo Watanabe. Rob, I got a little stat for you, buddy. You know that Mayu has never defeated Momo in the 5-star Grand Prix? She's never defeated her before. And how I know that is because I'm going to be doing a Patreon exclusive episode where I look back at every single Mayu versus Momo match from the 5-star Grand Prix. Momo, up until this in 2024, has defeated Mayu 3 times, and they've gone to 1 draw. So even though Mayu has the better winning percentage as far as singles match goes, Mayu has never defeated Momo in the 5-star Grand Prix. Is this the year that she gets rid of the big goose egg? I mean, what more can we say about Mayu? I mean, we can say a lot more, but we'll be here until next year's 5-star. Again, she's in the most loaded block in this tournament, maybe in the history of the 5-star Grand Prix. She's one of the best wrestlers of the year. Like, for me, it's like Ospreay and then Mayu and Danielson for like that number 2 spot. And she's going to come out of this tournament. Maybe she may even lap Ospreay in my eyes as far as the best wrestler for this year in 2024. She's got the most wins in the history of this tournament. I see her picking up quite a bit more. The fact that she's the IWGP Women's Championship, that puts a, very much like Natsupoi, kind of puts a target on her back, considering the fact that if we see a Momo getting a win here, or May Sarah can get a win, or Tomoka Inaba, that's a match that they can run back for the IWGP Women's Championship. And none of these matches, I don't think anybody will say no to for a rematch coming off the 5-star Grand Prix. Super excited to see what Mayu does here. She did make mention in the press conference this might be her last 5-star Grand Prix, and all of a sudden everybody thought that she's either retiring or that she may be going to Marigold next year. I'm not saying those things cannot happen, but Mayu's been talking about retirement since 2017, so pump the brake, folks. Pump the brakes.
Did you not see her on Yuji Nagata's show where he asked her, would you leave for 2 billion yen, over 3 years? And her eyes lit up.
I love it.
I think her exact answer, and it made Sayarita laugh as well, was who wouldn't go for that? And she does have a point. But yeah, obviously, it is worth mentioning that not only is this, as you put it, Matt, a murderer's row of people in this block, it's also the most loaded in terms of champions, with 4 different women, 5 if you count the Queen of Just Tap Out that Tomoka Inaba holds, championships on the line, with Mayu holding the IWGP Women's, Tam holding an artist belt, Momo holding a goddess belt, and May the current high-speed champion. So a lot of gold in this block. Moving on to the biggest loser, the shining Stardom dream, Tam Nakano. Sorry. No, of course, Tam Nakano. She is 1/3 of the Artist of Stardom champions alongside Natsupoi and Sayori Ano. She's the leader of Cosmic Angels. This will be her 8th tournament appearance. She's been in 7 in a row, which I believe is the second most behind Mayu. She made a debut in the 2017 tournament. She was tournament best of a finalist in 2022, losing to Julia in that final. Her all-time 5-star record is 30 wins, 28 losses, and 1 draw. Matt Turner, who was that 1 draw against?
Tam Nakano's 1 draw in the 5-star Grand Prix. Well, that would have to be to the one and only Mayu Iwatani.
Who she got on the first night, Matt?
She's got the one and only Mayu Iwatani. However, they have been teasing, since they didn't pull the trigger on the tease of the Tam and Micah red belt match, which, if you want to hear my thoughts on, go back to last week. But they are teasing Tam and Mayu for the IWGP. So since we're talking about it, my prediction for the show on Saturday is that Tam is going to get her first win over Mayu on Saturday.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree. Just quickly to finish off, block match winning percentage of 50.85 and a 2023 record, exactly the same as Mayu's 11 points, 5-3-1 record. As I've already mentioned, Mayu Iwatani on the opening night, 0-3-3 record. We both think that she is going to get the victory over Mayu on the opening night this year. She's then got Sayarita on the 12th, 1-0 record against Saya, 2-1 record against Azumi, who she's got at Korakuen on the 15th. Momo Watanabe, she has a 1-1 record on the 18th of August, a big rivalry there dating way back to 2018, and then 2 consecutive first-time ever singles matchups. Tomoka Inaba on the 23rd, and then May Sarah on the 25th in Yamagata. Obviously, with this new hate angle, I feel like Tam is probably one of, if not the favourite, to go through from this block. Especially if you're looking at Tora being the champion in Ryogoku. Tam versus Tora could be the way to go, depending, and again, that is completely dependent on whether Tora is still holding that belt in Ryogoku, though if she keeps refusing to turn up to shows, I can't see how she would drop it. overall, I would argue that Tam, as I've already said, she's one of mine to go through in this block, definitely. It is just a case of whether it's number 1 or number 2, Matt.
Yeah, I think everybody I talked to, they kind of had Tam pegged. Again, they kind of had her pegged that she was one of the favorite going into the tournament, but they wouldn't have done that angle that they did on the Sunday show if they were going to put a lot of stock into Tam. And considering the fact it might be new hairstyle Tam as well, it should be interesting because very much like Wrestle Kingdom and WrestleMania, it always seems the first night of the 5-star Grand Prix, we always have a lot of new gear, everybody dressing their Sundays best. And real quick, since we're talking about it, whoever the seamstress is or the gear maker is for Stardom, you deserve a raise because not only is the gear fantastic, but it seems like these girls at Stardom, they have new gear like every 6 weeks. It's like absolutely insane. But yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting matchups. Obviously, you have the hard-hitting matches with Tomoka Inaba, Saya Ida, and Mayu. And then Tam does really good with the high-speed wrestlers, the Azumis and Mace Eras. So it's going to be an interesting story here for Tam Nakano, very much like Mayu and just about everybody in this block. She's going to come out with a lot of really, really good matches, and I fully expect Tam Nakano to be one of the wrestlers that comes out of this block going into the quarterfinal playoffs.
And then following this, we have Momo Watanabe, the Black Peach herself, the only member of Hate in this block. 7 appearances. This will be her 8th. But of course, it isn't consecutive. She sustained that really quite nasty injury, I believe 2017, where she injured her ACL, ironically, considering what we were talking about at the start of the show. Her tournament best is the final in 2021, where she lost to Syuri in what is considered by many the best 5-star match of all time. All-time 5-star record of 32 wins, 22 losses, and 4 draws, giving her a block match winning percentage of over 50%, 55.17, with a 2023 record of 10 points, 5 wins, and 4 losses. Her match calendar and record look like this. She opens against Azumi on the 10th, a really dominant record against Azumi. 8 victories, 1 loss, and 1 draw. First time singles match against Tomoka Inaba on the 11th and against Mei Seira on the 12th. That match against Mayu Iwatani at Korakuen Hall. We've already talked about it. 4-5-1 record. Is this the time that Mayu defeats Momo in the 5-star, or will it be another victory for the Black Peach? That is certainly one to circle on your calendars. Tam Nakano on the 18th of August, that 1-1 record, and then Saya Ida on the 23rd of August has a 3-1 record against Saya Ida. Hugely dominant record, over Azumi Momo, Matt. So is this the time that Momo drops the ball against Azumi, or do we see her going off to a fast start against someone who she's very obviously got the number of?
Fast start, was that pun intended with the high-speed
you
bomb?
You better believe it, brother.
I'm going to say Azumi gets the win here because I think Azumi, very much like Hazuki 2 years ago, is going to get out of this tournament with a very, very fast start. And it's somebody that, as we're getting towards the end of this month, that we're going to be like, we kind of figured Mayu would have went through. We kind of figured Tam would have went through. Maybe an outside shot from Momo just to kind of keep, one of the heels going into the quarterfinals. But I think Azumi's somebody that's going to get a lot of points early on, that going into these final nights is going to be somebody that may qualify for the quarterfinals. I don't think she's going to. I wouldn't say no if she did. I love Azumi. She's one of my favorite wrestlers in Stardom. But I think Azumi picks up the win here over Momo Watanabe. And again, what is going to be one of the best matches on one of the best wrestling shows that we're going to see all year coming up this Saturday.
Moving on then to Mei Seira making her tournament debut, the Ultimate Shooting Star, faction allegiance to Neo Genesis. A lot of first-time matchups for Mei. She's the current high-speed champion, as I mentioned, in her second reign. Tomoka Inaba on the 10th of August. Then she's got Azumi on the 11th, 0-2. And 1 record against Azumi, has never beaten Azumi in singles action. And then first-time singles match against Momo on the 12th against Saya Ida. She has a 1-0 record on the 18th. And then she's got back-to-back singles first-time matchups. Mayu Iwatani on the 23rd and Tam Nakano on the 25th. Big fan of Mei Seira. I think she's doing fantastic work. She's arguably the person that Stardom should look to build this high-speed division again around, now that Azumi has very obviously graduated from it. However, despite the fact that we are going to get some really, really, really good first-time matchups, Mayu Iwatani and Tomoka Inaba are the ones that immediately stand out to me. I don't think she gets through this block.
No, neither do I. And May Sarah versus Tomoka Inaba, night one, high-speed violence.
Yeah.
I would love to see Tomoka get a win here on night one and then say, you know what? I'm going to challenge for the high-speed championship, because that's a match I don't think you'll disagree with me, partner. I wouldn't mind seeing twice in a 2-month period, especially the fact we know Tomoka Inaba, she's such a hard striker. And she's very underrated when it comes to, like, her speed. So she can really keep up with May Sarah as far as, like, the high-speed division goes. And the fact that we get to maybe some high-speed violence, not one but twice, be something really interesting. The fact that we're going to see May versus Zumi. They had a really, really great high-speed championship match last year when Azumi was the high-speed champion. I want to say it was, I forget the name of the show, but I believe it was on the show that Mina had a successful title defense against Natsupoi. The show coming off All-Star Grand Queen. I forget the name of the show, but I remember
Fukuoka Goddess Legend.
Yeah, that match was really, really good. It kind of flew under the radar of just how great that match was, because it was almost lumped in with, Mina's title chase and coming off All-Star Grand Queen. But folks, you haven't seen that match, or haven't seen that match in a while, go see that match with the Zumi versus May Sarah from last year. I believe it was May of 2023. Great high-speed championship match. But yeah, that's going to be one to look out for. Obviously, her and Mayu, May and Momo. But I'm really looking forward to this match on night one versus Tomoka Inaba, partner.
Moving on then to, spoiler, my dark horse for this block, the high-speed bomb girl, Azumi, another member of Neo Genesis. 5 tournament appearances so far. This will be her 6th, made a debut in 2019. Her tournament best is 14 points back in 2022, has an all-time, I keep calling it all-star, 5-star record of 22 victories, 23 losses, 8 points last year in 2023. Momo Watanabe on the opening night, already mentioned her dreadful record against her. May Sarah then on the 11th with a 2-0-1 winning record. Her only first-time singles match against Inaba on the 12th of August. Tam Nakano on the 15th inside Korakuen Hall. Yes, please. Mayu Iwatani on the 18th. And Saya Ida, the only other person she's got a winning record against, 1-0 on the final night. I mentioned it before, Matt. I don't know who comes out of this block with Tam. Tam's the only one I'm certain of. But we keep talking about how Azumi needs to be pushed. She needs to have that big run now. She's graduated the high-speed championship sort of scene. She needs that big run. She needs that go at a belt or something like that. Why not have her get out of this block? She doesn't have to make it through to the final, but have a solid run in this block.
Yeah, I agree. Neo Genesis is your new big babyface faction. Obviously, Hate is where they're putting a lot of the eggs in the basket for, because, they're heels, and heels draw money, for better or for worse, it's true. Heels draw money. You don't have Queen's Quest anymore. You don't have Donald Del Mundo anymore. Neo Genesis is kind of like your new shiny thing. And rightfully so. I mean, look at those 5 wrestlers. Why? And if you're going to put any, obviously Suzu's got a really good chance. Starlight Kid has a really good chance. We'll get into their brackets, late in just a few moments here. But I totally agree. Why not have Azumi? She's the most tenured member of this Neo Genesis group. So if you're going to put any one wrestler through in that group, why not be Azumi? So yeah, you got a good point. She might be the dark horse of this bracket. I would not be shocked to see her go through. And obviously, I wouldn't complain. I'm a huge fan of Azumi. A lot of great matchups coming up for her in the block. Obviously, that first night, again, coming up on Saturday with Momo Watanabe is the one I'm really, really looking forward to probably the most. And then, of course, with Mayu. So really excited to see what the high-speed bomb girl is going to do, because she's kind of had a rough year as far as taking some L's, but we know how great of a wrestler and how capable Azumi is.
Moving on then, Saya Ida, who makes only her 3rd tournament appearance, the Macho Gory, another member of Stars, 2020 debut. Hasn't had the greatest tournaments, if truth be told. She has a losing record against everyone in the tournament apart from Tomoka Inaba. Tournament best is only 4 points back in 2022, has an all-time record of 3-16, and then didn't participate in last year's tournament. Obviously, the big records that stand out. Mayu 0-2, who she's got on the 11th of August. Momo Watanabe 1-3, who she's got on the 23rd. So not great. I've just realised that we've been going for nearly 3 hours, so I'm not going to go through every single match for every single competitor, otherwise it'll be 4 hours. But again, Sayurita, who has progressed so fantastically this year, has put on some of the best matches in Stardom this year. Not one I see going through, Matt.
No, and I'm going to say that she probably has the most losses in this Red Stars B. But at the same time, Saeed is one of those wrestlers that even when she loses, she kind of comes out as a winner because of the effort that she puts in. And look at the talent she's going to be in the ring with: Tomoka, Momo, Azumi. I mean, the whole block. I don't see her getting more than maybe one win. With the Itabashi, maybe sneaking one out, maybe to kind of bump Momo Watanabe down the ladder a little bit. But I see her eating a lot of L's. But at the same time, she can be very much. She might be the one that we point to at the end of this tournament, saying her stock rose up the most, very much like Ami Sourei last year or Mina Shirakawa 2 years ago. So I'm excited that she's in this tournament. Again, very much like Yuna Mizumori is somebody that she really earned her spot in this tournament, but very much like you and I see her looking at the lights more than her getting the wins here.
Just before we move on to Tomoka Inaba, who do you see Sayurita beating here? Because honestly, maybe Azumi on the final night to stop her going through, but I can't see her getting victories against many people in this block.
Rob Goodwin, I will bet you one Las Vegas beer that Saida pins Momo Watanabe in this tournament.
You're going Mayu Iwatani, the icon of Stardom, the winningest person in five-star history,
no.
going
Momo.
0-2.
No, Momo.
Oh,
I think Momo. I think she's going to pin Momo. And again, it's going to be a Vegas beer that's on the line. And you remember what happened in Philadelphia. So.
Jeez. No, I don't. That's the problem. The Queen of Just Tap Out then, the one-hit kill, Tomoka Inaba, making a tournament debut this year. All first-time matchups. Just a couple of highlights for me. Meisei on the opening night, Azumi on the 12th, and then those back-to-back final two matches. Tam Nakano on the 23rd, Mayu Iwatani on the final night. Does she beat Mayu on the final night? Because I feel like we've built this up. I don't think she beats her, but I could see that Mayu versus Tomoka Inaba going to a time limit draw.
If you're asking me right now what I'm going to say, again, it's no wrong answer, but I'm going to say time limit draw. I think that one goes to a time limit draw, and it might be one, even though Tomoka didn't get the win, she didn't get the loss, and it might be one if we can get Tomoka back in Stardom that we could run that match back for the IWGP Championship. Now, remember, Mayu's been very adamant and very vocal that she wants to break Okada's record for most successful title defenses. Why not have one with Tomoka Inaba here, coming off this tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you can do a lot of good for Tomoka Inaba here. Right, so Red Stars B, that's complete. Matt, who have you and Amber got going through out of this block of death?
I have my number one seed coming out of this tournament is going to be Mayu. So that'll set up Mayu and Micah. And then I have Tam as the number 2 seed. So that sets up Tam and Hazuki for my quarterfinals. My beautiful bride has Azumi, the number 1 seed coming out of this block. And she was very adamant when she was doing her picks last night, saying, I always pick Azumi and Hazuki to go far in these tournaments, and I never do well. So she went for one or the other, not only picking Azumi to go to the quarterfinals, but to be the number 1 seed in that tournament. And very begrudging to herself, she did pick Tam Nakano to go through the Red Stars B.
I feel like this could be a momentous podcast because I don't think Mayu gets through.
Oh.
I think on the last night, the time limit draw with Tomoka Inaba stops her going through. I've actually got Tam going through as number 1, which sets up Tam and Hazuki in the quarterfinal. And I've then got Micah and Momo Watanabe. I've got Momo going through as second. She's very overpowered, Momo Watanabe, and I feel like she's due another good run. She's also a champion, it's worth pointing out as well, so she's not going to eat a tremendous amount of losses. But that sets up down Red Stars. For me, Tam and Hazuki with Tam going through, and then Micah and Momo with God knows who goes through on that side. I really, really don't know. Moving on to Blue Stars A then, and this is Saori Anou, Syuri, Starlight Kid, Xena, Koguma, Anna Jay, and Miyu Amasaki. We're going to start with Saori Anou, an Artist of Stardom champion, the only champion in Blue Stars A, part of Cosmic Angels. They made her tournament debut last year in 2023, had a really good tournament, 4-3-2, her record in 10 points. A lot of first-time matchups for Saori Anou. Starts off a tournament against Anna Jay on the 10th of August on the opening night. Syuri, they have had one match together in Oz Academy, which Syuri was victorious in. She's got her on the 12th. Starlight Kid on the 15th at Korakuen in a rematch from that brilliant Wonder of Stardom championship match back in February. And then back-to-back first-time single matches. Miyu on the 17th, Xena on the 20th, and Koguma on the final night. It's going to be an interesting block, Blue Stars A, and I do think that Saori Anou, the absolute indomitable girlfriend, which is apparently her nickname, I do think that she'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I consider, and I made mention of this last week when she dropped the Wonder of Stardom Championship. If she was the Wonder of Stardom champion going in, I think she would have been close there towards the end, but might not have made it. I think this opens up for her to make it really far in the tournament and possibly going to the quarterfinals. So it's going to be really interesting to see that. Not only that, but it's going to be really interesting to see. She's got one of the most intriguing matches on night one because she's wrestling a worldwide TV star in Anna Jay. Obviously, Anna Jay does not work the Stardom style, so it's going to be interesting to see if Saori Anou can kind of pick Anna Jay up and give her what probably is going to be the best match of her career going into night one of this tournament. So that's one of the matches I'm really, really interested to see. Anna Jay, and I made mention this last week, partner, is somebody that has really, really improved her in-ring work the last 6 or 7 months. No disrespect to anybody she's ever wrestled over there in the land of AEW. None of those girls are as good as Saori Anou. To be honest, there's not a lot of wrestlers as good as Saori Anou. So Saori Anou really opening up this tournament with a blockbuster of a match, in my opinion.
And she has offered to buy Saori Anou a sandwich and a coffee should she lose. So, there is that on the line as well. Let's not forget that. A lot on the line,
buddy. A lot on the line other than the crown, my man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell you what, I would not want Koguma on the final night. I'm just putting that out there. I do think that she is that spoiler in this block. Block A continues then with Syuri, the leader of God's Eye, the world-class woman on a different level. I thought nicknames were supposed to be short. 4 tournament appearances so far. This will be her 5th. She's one of only 3 winners of the tournament in this year's field. Has an all-time record of 21 wins, 12 losses, and 4 draws. Has a tournament winning percentage of a very healthy 56.76. And finished last year's tournament with 11 points. Only one first-time singles match for Syuri. That's Anna Jay. Opens the tournament against Starlight Kid on the 10th of August. Another couple of decent matches to keep an eye out. They're all really good. But Xena on the 24th of August and Miyu Amasaki on the 25th as well. Ones to keep an eye on. Syuri, previous winner. Is she going to be the first person since Utami in 2020 to make it to her second final, Matt?
There's a possibility. Because you got to see. I mean, this hate group that has put a lot of heat on a lot of wrestlers. Obviously, we're circling at Micah because she lost the red belt. We're talking about Tam because she got her hair cut. Don't forget, Shuri's on a one-woman mission to basically take down this entire unit by herself. And if I were to bet Shuri versus an entire 12-unit squad that is hate, I might put my money on Shuri because she's as badass as they come. I'm a huge fan of Shuri. I would not be disappointed at all if she wins this whole tournament. It's a possibility. That's, another dark horse that we can lay it out there. Obviously, her match quality is second to none. One of the best wrestlers in all of wrestling. And Rob, I will tell you right now, again, I'm going to ask you when we go through all this, what's 1 or 2 matches that you're looking forward to the most? The one match that I'm looking forward to most in this tournament is Syuri versus Saori Anou. Mm-hmm. They had some really great exchanges when they had the God's Eye versus Cosmic Angel stuff. Literally to the point in my notes, where I would love to see this in a singles match. I'd love to see this in a singles match. I'd love to see it in a singles match. And when these blocks were announced, and the fact that Sherry and Soriano were in the same blocks, I literally did a fist pump in the air, very much like the end of the scene for The Breakfast Club for all you 80s babies out there, that we were getting Sherry and Soriano in the same block. Obviously, her and Xena, I don't need to tell you how that match is going to go.
No.
Not a lot of head scissors in that one. It's going to be chop, kick, right up her alley. This match she's having with Starlight Kid on night one. It's a new Starlight Kid, a reinvigorated Starlight Kid, and now we have a very more violent Sherry. Again, this night one has 14 matches, and this is a match that may steal the entire show coming up on Saturday. Really good way for Sherry to start her tournament going up against Starlight Kid. All in all, I would not be shocked to see Sherry get really, really far into this tournament.
No, agreed. She's one of mine to go through. In fact, I think I've got her going through as first in the block. Starlight Kid on the 10th again. Absolutely one of the matches to keep an eye on. Soriano on the 12th. It's the day show in Utsunomiya, the Utsunomiya Light Cube. That is definitely one to keep an eye on as well. But I do see a very, very good tournament for Syuri. Speaking of Starlight Kid, the Sky Tiger dancing in the night sky. Another Neo Genesis member. This will be her 5th tournament. Made her debut back in 2020. Had a really good tournament in 2022. It was her best, 3rd in the block with 14 points. Has an all-time 5-star record of 15 wins, 21 losses, and 1 draw. Has pulled that back significantly because it was a lot less healthy than that. It does give her a block match winning percentage of one of the lowest in the tournament, actually, of 40.54%. Had a miserable tournament last year, a really miserable tournament before she went out with injury. Just 4 points on the board with 2 wins and 7 losses. Starts off against Syuri on the 10th of August. Anna Jay in the Utsunomiya Light Cube on the 12th. Sayori Anu in Korakuen Hall. Yes, please. Miyu Amasaki, who she has the healthiest record against, 3 victories and no losses on the 24th. And then on the final night, gets to go 1-on-1 with Xena on the 25th. That's another not seen singles match. Starlight Kid's an interesting one match. She had an absolutely torrid time in last year's tournament and then ended up out with injury. I do think that she is going to be one to keep an eye on, though, in this tournament. She's certainly one that is going to be positioned very strongly. It wouldn't surprise me if it's her and Syuri that go through at the end.
Yeah, this is an interesting block because you have Soriano, you have Shuri, you have Starlight Kid. You might have Anna Jay do a run in this tournament. We'll get into that in a moment. Starlight Kid is definitely one to look out for. Again, she's somebody that moves merchandise. We basically said at the Spark Joshi show that we were at WrestleMania weekend that she's one angle away of being one of the biggest baby faces in the company, and they went and they pulled it off at All-Star Grand Queendom. We're starting to see it now. She's a different Starlight Kid. She's a little more aggressive, working the more baby face style. I would not be shocked to see her not only go to the quarterfinals, but maybe even in the semifinals in this tournament. Starlight Kid is another one I'm really interested to see how well she's going to do in this tournament, considering the fact of how well her tournaments were in 21 and 2022. And then last year you mentioned what Rob means is miserable as far as points goes. Her match quality was second to none because she's Starlight Kid. I would really like to see her rebound in this tournament and, maybe pick up 3, 4, 5 wins and then possibly going into the quarterfinals. So yeah, she's another one. It's going to be really interesting to see how she comes out of this tournament.
The sole AEW competitor in this field, the Queen Slayer, Anna Jay, tournament debut, first-time singles matches against everyone in this block. Starts off against Sayori Anu on the 10th, which we've already talked about. Starlight Kid in Utsunomiya on the 12th. Syuri in Korakuen Hall. Xena on the 17th. Miyu Amasaki on the 20th. And then Koguma in that penultimate block day on the 24th. It's going to be really interesting, Anna Jay. I feel like she is someone that is going to grow into this tournament. I've not seen a dreadful amount of her in AEW, but she is someone I know that a couple of people have highlighted as someone who would do well doing a tour of Stardom. So this is certainly one potentially to keep an eye on. I don't see her going through, though, Matt.
No, neither do I. And Rob, you know me, I like it when people improve. And Anna Jay is somebody that has asked for this tour over to Stardom to improve her game. And what better tour to do than the 5-star Grand Prix? It's not like she's coming over for 3 weeks and it's just going to be tagging with EXV. It's like, no, we're putting you in the 5-star Grand Prix. Oh, by the way, you're going to be wrestling Sherry. So that's literally going to be like, welcome to Stardom, kid. It really, really is. I'm a massive fan of Anna Jay. Again, she's somebody you can tell over the last year or so has really been working on her craft to become a better pro wrestler. I agree with you. I don't see her getting a lot of wins here, but it's interesting to see if she does get 2 or 3 wins, who are the 2 or 3 wrestlers that she gets the wins on. It could be anybody. She could shock everybody by defeating Soriano on night 1. She could shock everybody by defeating Shuri. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. It all depends on how the way that she's booked. But really interested to see how she can do in this tournament, and I'm really excited to see her improvement coming out of this tournament. And hopefully this isn't something that she just does this tournament, and then at the end of the month, beginning of next month, she goes back to America, and then we never see her again. I would like to see, especially if she has a good tournament, which I think she's going to, I'd like to see her come back to Stardom from time to time to keep improving her craft.
Speaking of someone who could potentially drop points to Anna Jay, a touch of thunder, Xena. EXV team member, tournament debut this year, has first-time single matches against everyone except Syuri, who she boasts an 0-1 record against. Opens the tournament against Miyu Amasaki on the 10th of August. Other matches to look out for: Sayori Ano on the 20th of August, Syuri on the 24th, and Starlight Kid on the 25th. That's quite the run of 3 matches at the end. I expect Xena to start very strongly, but to fade off towards the end, especially when you've got the 1-2-3 punch of Sayori Ano, Syuri, and Starlight Kid. And that Starlight Kid match on the final night of block action in Yamagata on the 25th, I do anticipate that being almost a block playoff, maybe.
That's a possibility, my friend, and I think you agree with me that Xena is one of, if not the most, in my opinion, she's the most improved wrestler in all of wrestling.
Agreed.
In this fantastic year that we're getting in 2024. And again, that's not just in Stardom, that's in all of wrestling. She was really good on her first run in Stardom, but ever since she's been back, she's been an absolute highlight. And again, go back and watch that World of Stardom Championship match she had with Micah not that long ago, just a few months ago. It really just showed how great of a wrestler she can be when given the time to tell her story, and she's going to have time to tell a story in a lot of these matches. The Soriano match is going to be one to look out for. I mentioned the Shuri match. That's the one that I'm looking forward to the most, but I'm really excited to see, how many points that she's going to get. But I agree. I think she's going to be one that's going to probably win her first 2 or 3 matches, and then as she's getting towards the tougher matches, the murderous row, for her to eat a few L's. But she could be one that might be somebody that's in contention going into the final night. We shall see, my friend. That's the beauty of this tournament.
Moving on to someone who's a little bit of a dark horse, maybe not to the same extent as Izumi, but it's the high-speed genius Koguma, another member of Stars. This will be her 4th tournament appearance, made her debut the same year as Mayu Iwatani, actually, in 2014. Tournament best of 14 points in 2022, boasting a record of 12-11-3, 46.15 win percentage. Wasn't in last year's tournament, but I'll be honest, I'm really happy that she is in this tournament because she's really put in the work in the Stardom World shows, similar to Miyu Amasaki, who we're going to be talking about in a moment. So I'm really excited that she is in this tournament. Starts off against Xena on the 12th of August, isn't in action on that opening night. First-time singles matches against Xena, Miyu Amasaki, and Korakuen Hall. Anna Jay and Sayori Ano on that final night. Koguma is another one, Matt, who can beat anybody. And we're going to be having the same conversation about Saki Kashima in Blue Stars B. Can beat anybody, but again, I don't see her winning the block. Being a spoiler, certainly. She's got a 1-0 record against Syuri, for God's sake. Not everyone can boast a winning record against Syuri. So she can beat physically anybody. I just don't see her going through to the final.
No, but she's going to have some interesting and entertaining matches. The big question, in my opinion, Robin, I'm going to throw this at you. Maybe you can answer this, and we'll find out. As far as Koguma goes in this tournament, does she get Anna Jay to do the Kuma dance thus Americanizing the bear dance. Do you think that's a possibility?
Going full international, going worldwide with the Kuma dance.
Absolutely.
Quite possibly. But I can see Anna Jay being a bear. I can see that working. I'm sure when she was said, I want this tour, I want this tour, I want this tour, she was probably thinking Mai Iwatani, Tam Nakano, Syuri. Am I going to have to dance and be a bear? But anyway, I'm sure that match is certainly one to keep an eye on. 24th of August, her versus Anna Jay. That final match, Syuri Ano and Koguma, 25th of August. Do not be surprised if you see Koguma rolling up Syuri Ano, because I would love to see a Kuma roll versus Pottering matchup there. And I reckon Koguma probably stops Syuri Ano going through. That's just my thought. But that's where we are. I think Koguma will get a healthy points total, maybe 6, something like that, which is 3 victories. I don't see her making it through, especially when you've got that loaded top half with the likes of Starlight Kid, Syuri Ano, and even Xena as well, who you could possibly put in that area as well. Final member of Blue Stars A, then Miyu Amasaki, the qualifier from the Blue Stars play-in bracket, the Stardom Supernova, another member of Neo Genesis, making her tournament debut, opens her account against Xena on the opening night, finishes it against Syuri on the 25th, has only wrestled Starlight Kid, who she's 0-3 against, and Syuri before, who she's 0-1 against, so doesn't have the greatest record, has an 0-3 record against Starlight Kid. And having back-to-back matches of Starlight Kid and Syuri, I imagine, is not ideal for the Stardom Supernova. And similarly to what we've said about quite a few other people, I can't see many victories in Miyu Amasaki's future. However, similar to Hanan a couple of years ago and Saya Ida and even Momokogo in 2022, it's not necessarily about getting the victories, it's about the performances and the progress that you make through this tournament in terms of your match quality. And I reckon Miyu Amasaki will probably have that in mind when you look at who she's got in this block.
Rob, this is Miyu's first 5-star Grand Prix, correct?
It is indeed, yes.
She's opening with Xena, correct?
Yep.
And she's finishing with Syuri, correct?
She is, yeah.
Welcome to the tournament, kid.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Can you imagine that? Her greeting into the tournament is just a colossal Xena chop to the chest.
And then her final night is against Syuri, who's probably going to need that win to go on to qualify for the quarterfinal. But I agree, again, very much like Saya Ida and Yuna Mizumori in the blocks we just mentioned. I think she's probably going to eat the most amount of losses. But at the same time, I think she's going to have a great performance. She's another one that has just completely blown me away at how much she's been able to improve over the last year and a half. And again, we have a fresh coat of paint on her. She is now part of the new cool group, Neo Genesis. She's got a cool new look. The fact that she's almost not unrecognizable, in a good way. She's been able to revamp herself. She's going to be able to do that in this tournament. I expect her to eat a lot of losses, but on the plus side and positive side, I expect her to have every single match be really, really good and a really, really stand out for Miyu Amasaki.
I think just being in the tournament is a big thing for Miyu Amasaki, to be perfectly honest. She's deserved it because of her output and her work ethic on these undercard shows, on these non-pay-per-view shows. So I am really happy that she made it through. I'm sad for Lady C, especially now that Ruaka has been inserted into the tournament despite losing. Momokogo, who, I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter, by the way, they've done an English translation of an article about her and her ongoing struggle with Graves' disease. What a story that would have been. Like, you really could have made something about that and how she goes into the tournament and does dead well. I know that she's already debuted in the tournament. She was in 2022, but I feel like you can really, really talk about how she says in this translation about how much it hurts to wrestle, and sometimes she gets up and just can't do it because it hurts so much. I think that would have been a perfect story, but there we are. Moving on to Blue Stars A, and who we think is going to go through, Matt. Who are your top two, and who has Amber got going through out of this block?
My number one, with the most amount of points, would be Syuri Ano. Mm-hmm. My number two to go through with the second most amount of points would be Syuri.
Yep.
Now, Rob Goodwin, I know you're still, I can't see you, but I know that you're John Cena. I can't see you, but I know you're sitting down. This is a hot take. Amber, number one going through. Syuri Ano. That's not the hot take.
Okay, I was just going to say, that's not really a hot take.
Sorry, I should have softened the blow. She has Anna Jay going through the quarterfinals. Again, now, me and Amber do watch all the AEW shows together, especially, well, maybe not all of them, but definitely Wednesday. We do watch the Dynamite together. So she's very familiar with Anna Jay, and very much like me. It's like, wow, she's really, really improved. She has not watched a lot of Stardom this year, just because majority of my Stardom watching is now done in my fancy new podcast room, which you're part of the Patreon. You get to, or even it's on YouTube, you get to see the fancy new podcast room that my wife has designed for me. So she has not watched a lot of Stardom. I'm going to say, out of all the wrestlers in this tournament, the wrestlers that she's seen the most so far this year is probably Anna Jay. So that's kind of her thought process going forward. Now, Rob, you and I both know from both doing these tournaments and doing predictions with our significant others that I know you're kind of like, wow, she really picked Anna Jay? That makes no sense. But how many times do our significant others beat us on points in these tournaments?
The damn time. All the damn time.
So who are we to say that Anna Jay doesn't go through to the quarterfinals?
True. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I should just take a page out of your wife's book. I've got Shiori getting through top of the block. And then I've got Starlight Kid going through as second in the block.
Good pick.
I mean, Neo Genesis, man. They're really pushing Neo Genesis. I don't think I've got any members of Neo Genesis going through. I think Starlight Kid is the one who could really do some damage in this Blue Stars A block. I think it'll be between her and Saori Anou, but I think having Koguma on that final night is like having Saki Kashima. You really don't want them on the final night because you know they can be a spoiler, and I think that could potentially be a trip up for the absolute indomitable girlfriend that is Saori Anou. So just one to keep an eye on. Blue Stars B then, Suzu Suzuki, Saya Kamitani, Hanan, Saki Kashima, Rani Agami, Tekla, and Risa Sera. Another really interesting block. We start with the Crimson Crazy Girl, Suzu Suzuki, last year's winner. This will be her third tournament all in all. She was a winner, like I say, in 2023. 61.9% winning percentage over these two tournaments. 2023 record, 12 points, 6-3 record. Starts with Hanan on the 10th of August, ends with Rani Agami on the 25th. But one to look forward to in the middle of this block, Korakuen Hall, Risa Sera versus Suzu Suzuki. She has a dreadful record against Risa Sera, only beaten her once in 5 singles matches, has a 1-3-1 record. It's going to be a really, really good match though, Matt.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff here for Suzu Suzuki. Obviously, she's opening with Hanan, the winner of the Cinderella tournament. So basically, you have your last two winners of your last two singles tournaments. Again, you mentioned Suzu Suzuki won this tournament last year. Hanan just won the tournament, the Cinderella tournament, just back in the spring. But you have the match with Saya Kamitani, which I believe was voted per Stardom as the best match of the tournament in 2022. You mentioned the match with Risa Sera. That's going to be something. You have Tekla, so you know there's going to be some violence there. And then you're going to have the Rani Yagami match. That's going to be great. Again, Suzu and Rana, that's going to be hard hitting. And then, of course, you have the spoiler in Saki Kashima. So Suzu Suzuki has a heck of a block ahead of her. I mean, she's got some really tough competition, but some really, really good matches. And I would not be shocked to see Suzu Suzuki go through to the quarterfinals or even make it to be the third wrestler, Rob Goodwin, in the history of this tournament to go to the finals, not once, but twice. So obviously Suzu is somebody that they may, again, Neo Genesis, we talked about it. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for Suzu Suzuki to repeat as champion. And Suzu versus Tora match, Suzu versus Micah match somewhere down the line for the World of Stardom Championship. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I would not be shocked to see Suzu Suzuki win this whole thing.
No, neither would I. I don't think she will, but it's certainly not out of the realms of possibility. We move on to the Hate Collective. So the representative, or one of the representatives of Hate, the Idol Killer, one half of the Goddess of Stardom champions, Tekla. This is her tournament debut So that is, it's something that I genuinely thought we'd seen Tekla in a tournament before. And the more I looked, I was like, really? How intriguing. She opens her account against Saya Kamitani on the 12th of August, isn't in action on the opening night. Finishes, as I've already mentioned, against Saki Kashima, who she's got a 3-0 record against on the 25th. That opening match with Saya Kamitani, the brand new Hate member Saya Kamitani, is going to be really intriguing on that 12th of August show. Utsunomiya Light Cube, but other matches to keep an eye on. Hanan on the 17th of August and Risa Seira on the 24th, who she's never beaten in singles competition. Risa Seira having 3 victories, no losses, and 1 draw against the Idol Killer. Really, really good in ring, Tekla, especially when she's not trying to decapitate people with her belt. Does she make it out of this block? She could do. She'll certainly be up there. But there's one thing that I just cannot look past, and that's Saki Kashima on the final night. I knew as soon as the block schedules were announced, whoever had Saki on the final night would really struggle. And I think it's perfect that it's Tekla, considering the feud that we are currently a part of in God's Eye versus Hate.
Yeah, you mentioned that you weren't sure if Tekla's been in this tournament before. Back in 2022, she was actually scheduled to be in this tournament, Rob.
Right.
But she got injured in that high-speed championship match against Izumi. I think it was her shoulder that she tore out or something like that. And then she was replaced by, I want to say it was Momo Kogo. It was either Momo Kogo or Mei Sarah, but I think it was Momo Kogo. So she was scheduled to be in this tournament 2 years ago. It's going to be really cool for her to finally make her debut, considering the fact of how much steam that she has going into this tournament. Her, very much like Ruwaka, can be somebody that's eating a lot of DQs in this tournament. And again, Hate is the new thing that they're pushing. She is part of, and I don't mean the actual motion Hate, folks. And obviously, we're talking about the faction. Just want to clear that up. She's one half of the Goddess of Stardom champions. So if she does eat an L here, there's a possibility that it sets up a challenge for the Goddess of Stardom Championship. She could be somebody that goes far in the tournament. You made mention the fact that she has the spoiler, Saki Kashima, on the final night. Another reason why I just don't think she's going to go through is because I think there's 3 other people that I'm kind of pegging that it would mean more for a quarterfinal. I'm not saying it can't happen, but just with Suzu, Hanan, and Saya Kamitani, I think that's everybody's 1, 2, and 3. I'm not saying it can't happen. I do expect one of the 8 people that are going to be in the quarterfinals is going to be somebody that we kind of didn't see that person coming, just to kind of keep things fresh and kind of keep us on our toes. But I'm really, really interested and really happy for Tekla to finally be in this tournament. She's part of this new badass heel. She cuts great promos. Again, she's a champion going in. I think she'll have a great tournament, but I just don't see her coming out of this block as one of the quarterfinalists.
Someone else who probably isn't going to be one of the quarterfinalists, the Beat Striker, Rani Yagami of God's Eye. She is a replacement for Amisori, who had to withdraw due to ACL and meniscus tears in her knee. A rookie, has losing records against Saki Kashima, who she opens this tournament against on the 10th, has a losing record against Hanan, who she's got on the 24th, and Suzu Suzuki, who she closes her tournament against on the 25th. In terms of lowest point getters in the tournament, I would argue that Rani Yagami is right at the top of that list. Looking at her run, Saki Kashima, Tekla inside Korakuen Hall, Saya Kamitani after that, Risa Seira in Edion Arena Osaka 2, Hanan on the 24th, and Suzu Suzuki on Yamagata Big Wing. I'm sorry, I'd be very, very, very surprised if Rani Yagami picks up a single point in this tournament.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think Saki Kashima is going to be the one that she might get off the block with 2 points, getting a quick win over Rana. Because again, buddy, we got 14 matches on night 1.
Agreed.
Some of these matches, as much as I'd love for everything to go 10, 15 minutes, one of these matches got to go about a minute. That's the one I think it's going to go. But I still think it's going to be entertaining. Again, I mean, we talk how great Rani Yagami is all the time on this podcast. She's going to come out of this tournament a big, maybe not like a huge main event star, but somebody that we can maybe see challenge for the Wonder of Stardom Championship in the first quarter of next year. And this tournament is going to be something that she's going to springboard off. Obviously, she's terrific, but she's going to have great matches with Suzu, with Hanan, with Risa Sarah, with Saya Kamitani. There's going to be some really, really interesting matches for her here. But again, I expect her. I don't think she's going to do as well as she didn't catch the wave, partner, if that's what we're trying to say. But regardless, very much like a Yuna and a Saida, even though she's going to be looking at the lights a lot of these matches, she's going to come out of this tournament a better wrestler.
Agreed. Someone who very well could be in the quarterfinals, the young lioness Hanan, another member of Stars. This will be her third tournament appearance. Unfortunately, she has never finished higher than bottom of a block. Her best coming with 6 points in 2023. Her all-time record is 5 wins, 16 losses, with 23.81 winning percentage. She won 3 of her 5 matches that she's ever won in the 5-star last year. So that goes to show just how much of progress Hanan has made, especially when you consider that she is the 2024 Cinderella as well. Opens her account against Suzu Suzuki on the opening night, which again could be a sleeper hit of the show. Has Risa Saya on the 12th, Saki Kashima in Korakuen Hall, Tekla on the 17th, Rani Agami on the 24th, and then closes her block with Saya Kamitani on the 25th of August. A match we've only seen once, and a match which Saya Kamitani won. Hanan, I feel, Matt, is someone who is going to be, and I've said it a couple of times now, is going to be right up there or thereabouts in Blue Stars B, and it would not surprise me at all if she peaked the likes of a Tekla or the likes of even a Suzu Suzuki to get through to the quarterfinal.
Hanan's booking this year has been really, really interesting, considering the fact that she won the Cinderella tournament. She had a great match with Soriano at All-Star Grand Queendom, and nobody really thought that she was going to beat Soriano, and then they gave us a couple, little heartbeats there that it looked like she was going to get the win there. And then she loses the New Blood tag team, and her and Saida as New Blood tag team champions were great. They lose the belts just about a month or so ago. She loses that tag match with her and Mayu versus Best Friends. But then again, at the last pay-per-view, she picked up a win over Tam Nakano. So I think we're seeing the slow build back up to Hanan. I think that she's going to be somebody that is going to be very well in contention going into the quarterfinals, and maybe somebody that, as we're getting to the final dates of this show, could be somebody that we're looking at that can pull a Toni Storm. And what we mean by that, folks, is Toni Storm is the only wrestler in the history of Stardom that has won the 5-star Grand Prix and the Cinderella tournament in the same year. And that's something that they can talk about. Toni Storm is obviously a mega star we see on AEW TV. And as Hanan's getting closer to this tournament, something that they can put over. Like, the only other person in the history of this company to do it in the same year is Toni Storm. And can Hanan do it? I think that'd be a great storyline, something that they could really put over towards the newer fans of Stardom, that they can link Hanan and Toni Storm kind of in the same breath with the same accomplishment. I expect her to have a great, great tournament. And as we're getting towards the end of the month, somebody that may be in the qualification to make it to the playoff.
Moving on to Saki Kashima, lightning fast revival. God's Eyes Saki Kashima was the only person in this field to take part in the first ever 5-star Grand Prix. Made a debut in the 2012 tournament. This will be her 6th tournament altogether. Tournament best of 12 points back in 2022. Has an all-time 5-star record of 14 wins, 26 losses and 1 draw. Could take that crown of most losses from Tam Nakano this tournament, Matt. So fingers crossed. Didn't participate last year. As I've already mentioned, opened her account against Rani Agami on the opening night at Yokohama Budokan. Her versus Suzu Suzuki is the only first-time singles match she has on her calendar. Also has a 1-0 record against Risa Saya, interestingly. And then again, has that match against Tekla on the 25th in Yamagata Big Wing. Is very, very similar to everything I've just said about Koguma. Is literally a bracket buster. She could beat absolutely anyone in as little time as possible. So one to keep an eye on, and she is the sole reason I don't think Tekla is getting through this block, because she can beat anyone, and I do believe that she will beat Tekla, sorry.
Saki Kashima is very interesting because I think me, you, and just about everybody else listening is going to agree with me that at the end of this tournament, she's going to have the shortest average match time, which makes her very interesting. Again, we have a lot of long cards, and a lot of these matches are going to, and we want them to see go a long time. Of course, we want to see Mayu and Tam go a long time. Of course, we want to see Hazuki and Maika beat each other up for the better part of 15 minutes. Where Saki Kashima is somebody that can end these matches really, really quick. And we know that she's going to be really, really sneaky. And we're going to be on the edge of our seats for each and every one of these matches. Is she going to be somebody that wins every single match? Probably not. But at the same time, I think that we're going to see every match come close to a 2.999 count because, like you said, partner, she is a spoiler, and she's one of the most entertaining wrestlers on this roster because she offers something completely different than everybody else. So it's going to be really fun to see what she can do in this tournament.
Moving on then, penultimate person in blue block. It's the Phoenix Queen, not the Phoenix Queen, Saya Kamitani. Freshly turned heel, Saya Kamitani was everyone's favourite to win the tournament last year, but of course had to withdraw due to injury. This will be her fifth tournament, made her debut in 2020, was a block runner-up in 2021. Her all-time five-star record is 13 wins, 20 losses and 4 draws, though her forfeits last year have really skewed those numbers. Opens up against Risa Sera on the 10th of August, and that's another one that could be really, really entertaining on a loaded opening night. Tekla on the 12th, Ronnie Agami on the 17th, Saki Kashima on the 20th, and then closes her tournament with 2 back-to-back hard matches. Suzu Suzuki on the 24th and Hanan on the 25th.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, Rob. Just about we talked about at the beginning of the show. This is a completely different Saya Kamitani. Like, we don't know what we're going to get from her in this tournament. Like, we know we're not going to be getting super bubbly Saya Kamitani because of the heel turn. So she's one that's kind of the question mark as far as match quality goes. What are you going to get out of it? I'm sure it's going to be good because it's Saya Kamitani, but how far can she go in this tournament? The fact that she is Hanan on the final night, partner, I'm going to get to that in a minute because I think that's going to be very interesting. I'm going to say that one goes to the TLD, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment.
Well, that's intriguing. I want to know more. But we'll talk about Risa Sera first, the final person in the 5-star Grand Prix. Prominence's Risa Sera has made the one appearance in the tournament prior. She was an equal block runner-up in 2022 with a record of 7-4-1, 58.33 winning percentage. Didn't participate in last year's tournament. Has a winning record against Suzu Suzuki and against Tekla, as we've already mentioned. Has a drawing record against Saya, who she opens the tournament up against, 1-1. Hanan on the 12th of August, Suzu on the 15th in Corrigan Hall. Still definitely one to set your calendar for. Saki Kashima on the 17th. Ronnie Agami in Edion Arena, Osaka, number 2 on the 20th, and then closes her tournament against Tekla on the penultimate night of block action on the 24th. Risa Sera, of all the people in this tournament, is a really interesting one. I can see Risa Sera getting 4 points. I can see Risa Sera getting 10 points. It's one of those where she could quite easily make it through to the quarterfinal. She could quite easily finish second bottom without a real prayer of getting through. It does depend on a lot of other factors. I personally, as you know, Matt, I think Risa Sera is good. I don't think she's blow away. I do think that she is going to have some really, really good matches in this tournament. That match with Saya Kamitani on the opening night, Suzu Suzuki on the 15th, and Hanan on the 12th are definitely matches that you should take special notice of. And I think that match against Tekla could be really interesting as well.
Yeah, considering the fact that Tekla's going to try to cheat and use weapons, and Risa Sera's like, I'm a deathmatch queen. Look at my back. It's all scarred up. Good luck with that. Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. I think Risa Sera is somebody that when this tournament is over, she's going to finish like middle of the road. Like she'll finish not with a lot of losses, but not a lot of wins. I think they'd be like win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1, something where again, I think the top 2 qualifiers of this block are going to have a lot of points going into that final night, which again, I'll get into in a moment. Again, maybe it's just my crazy booking, but I think Risa Sera is going to do well as far as points, as far as match quality goes. I think she's going to blow it out of the water. And I know we talked on this podcast, you think like she's good to very good, where I think she's great to somewhat excellent. And I think Risa Sera is just a fantastic wrestler. And I made mention a couple of weeks ago that her 2 matches with Saya Kamitani from the Catch the Wave tournament were like near blowaway matches for me. They were my 2 favorite matches of the tournament from what I saw. And again, I know this is a different Saya Kamitani. Maybe it's a more violent Saya Kamitani, which may make it even for a better match because that's Risa Sera's wheelhouse. Regardless, I'm glad that she was one of the, because we kind of knew that there were 2 kind of question mark spots who are going to be the final people for the tournament. And I'm glad that Risa Sera was one of them because I'm a huge, huge fan of her. And I'm glad that she's in this block because there's a lot of hard hitters that she's going to play off really well with. Obviously, with Rani Yagami, Suzu Suzuki, Saya Kamitani, Tekla. A lot of those matches are going to play into her wheelhouse as far as the style of matches that she excels in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm very excited for this Tekla match, simply because if anyone can eat a belt shot to the face and still smile, it's going to be Risa Sera. And that moment where Tekla hits her and realizes she's made a terrible, terrible mistake, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be poetic. Looking back on it, I can see Risa Sera being maybe 3rd in the block, and maybe a tie-break loss to someone like a Hanan would be the reason she doesn't progress. Because the more I've looked at it whilst you were talking, and the more I was listening to you, I can see her beating Saki, I can see her beating Rana, I can see her beating Tekla. Well, there's 6 points straight away. And I think if she were to beat Suzu again, but then lose to a Saya Kamitani and lose to a Hanan, that effectively eliminates her from proceedings while still keeping her strong. And I think they'll want to keep Risa Sera relatively strong in this tournament. In terms of who goes through, I actually think that this block, aside from Red Stars B, is the most difficult to choose from. Because you've got Saki Kashima, Rani Yagami, who probably aren't going through. In fact, definitely aren't getting through. And you've then got 5 people who could very realistically go through. Ultimately, though, who have you picked?
Rob, I'm not going to keep you on the hook any longer. I think I hooked you about 2 minutes ago.
You really did.
So I'm going to say, I know, now I'm excited. I'm going to give you mine before I give Amber's. So it's Kamitani and Hanan on the final night, right?
Yes.
The fight about block, you know what I mean? That's going to go to the time limit draw, which is going to send both Saya Kamitani and Hanan into the quarterfinals, with Saya being
exactly what I've got.
So I have Saya as the 1 seed, Hanan as the 2 seed.
That's exactly.
My bride has. See, you have the same thing. Huh? Look at that. What does that tell you? That means that is going to be Saki Kashima and Rani Yagami going through.
Yes.
So we both agree that we have Saya as the 1 and Hanan as the 2. Oh, geez. Sorry, young lioness. My bride, on the other hand, has Suzu Suzuki as the 1 seed and Saya Kamitani as the 2 seed.
I can see it happening, certainly. She's a previous winner, Suzu. It wouldn't surprise me if the thing that stops Suzu Suzuki getting through is a loss to Risa Sera. It wouldn't surprise me. I think Hanan goes through as the 2nd seed, which in mine at least would put her against Syuri in the quarterfinals. I think Syuri probably wins that, but we're past the point now of Hanan propping up a block. I've said more than enough times that Hanan is the future icon of this company, the future star of this company, and this is where we start to build her towards that. She doesn't need to go through to the semi-finals. She doesn't need to get through to the final at all. But getting through this block and sort of establishing herself as that upper mid-carder, in Stardom's premier tournament, I feel is very, very, very important. Suzu Suzuki can finish 3rd. It doesn't matter to her. Ultimately, at the moment, in the grand scheme of things, she's probably the coldest of the big hitters in this block because you've got Saya Kamitani, who's just turned heel as well. So I would argue that's probably where we're going with that. And again, it doesn't particularly make Suzu Suzuki, Risa Sera, or Tekla look any weaker. So ultimately, that is where we are with the 5-star Grand Prix. Just a reminder that the winner of the Red Stars A block will face the runner-up of Red Stars B and vice versa. Same with Blue Block. All 4 of those quarterfinals will take place on the 28th of August in Shinjuku Face, and then the finals and semi-finals will take place on the 31st of August. That will be a pay-per-view. So very, very interesting sort of tournament structure that we've got. But I say it at the start, I am very, very excited by this tournament, and I have every anticipation that this could surpass the likes of 2021 and 2022 as fantastic, as like the upper echelon of 5-star Grand Prix, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely, my man. Absolutely. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, 2023 would have been right there as well. Unfortunately, there was the slew of injuries. But I guess without any further ado, partner, do we want to go through our over the rest of the picks, and as well as Karen's picks and Andy Hedder's picks?
I would love to.
Okay, let's go through Karen Peterson. This is what she said. She had Kamitani and Tekla earmarked to win the tournament until Natsuko got the belt. I love this next line, Rob. This one, she pulled at my heartstrings. It should be Hazuki, but her pick is Tam.
Wow.
And then she said Momo would be another one, but I don't see hate on hate closing the last show in December unless there's a different champion by then. So Karen looks like she has Tam as the overall winner. And let me go to the text message that Andy Hedder sent me this morning. Where is it, Andy Hedder? Okay. He's got Red Stars block overall winner, Micah. A, Micah. B, Red Stars B, overall winner, Momo. Blue Stars A, he's on the Rob Goodwin train. He's got Starlight Kid. And then Blue Stars B, he's got Saya Kamitani. And then the finals, he has Saya Kamitani defeating Micah to win the whole thing, partner.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Now, do you want me or Amber to go next, sir?
Let's have Amber go next.
Okay, I'm going to go through her quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. So she has Micah defeating Azumi, and then she has Tam defeating Natsupoi. She has Saya Kamitani defeating Soriano, and Suzu Suzuki defeating Anna Jay. Now, Rob Goodwin, before I go any further, Amber did not, when she told me what her finals was going to be, I basically told her what last year's final was, and she had no clue. So she literally was just like, no, she goes, I should never say my wife has no clue. Good thing she doesn't listen to this, because my wife, other than marrying me, always has lots of clues. She's smart. She has Micah over Tam in the semifinals and Suzu Suzuki over Saya Kamitani.
A replay.
So,
nice.
Yes, and that's what I told her. I said, this was last year. She's like, I don't care. This is what I'm going with. And she has Micah as the overall winner, winning the 5-star Grand Prix. So that's what she has. And I've had a lot of people saying that they still think Saya Kamitani is going to win this tournament regardless. So I was like, that's cool. A lot of people have told me what they picked. We have a lot of different people. Again, Amber has Micah, Andy has Saya, and Karen has Tam. So it's really cool to see that there's a lot of different winners. I think that in 2022, a lot of people thought it was going to be Julie, and it should have been Julie. That was kind of an easy one to pick, but regardless, the tournament was great. Okay, here's what I have. I have Micah defeating Mayu and Tam defeating Hazuki. And then I have Saya Kamitani defeating Shuri and Hanan defeating Soriano. So that sets up an automatic rematch from the final block night, which I have Saya Kamitani then defeating Hanan, Micah defeating Tam, and I have Micah winning the tournament over Saya Kamitani.
See, that's really interesting. So my quarterfinals, I've got Micah going over Momo, and I've got Tam going over Hazuki. I've got Shiori going over Hanan, and I've got Saya Kamitani going over Starlight Kid. Now, that gives me semi-finals of Micah and Tam and Shiori and Saya. Now, I mean,
what's your semis again, buddy? I'm sorry.
Shiori and Saya in blues, and Micah and Tam. Now,
we all win.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those where I'm like, do they do Shiori and Micah in the final? They could do. That would be really, really cool. But also, Do you know what? I'm going to go Tam and Saya in the final, with Tam winning overall.
Wow, how hard for you was that, buddy?
Mate, honestly, what did I say? It's the emergency order. It's the danger order.
What was the thing 3 hours ago when we started this podcast? You said you ordered. You thought it was a plate of meat, but it was a plate of beans. What was it?
Oh my God, it was a massive hunk of pate. It was absolutely gross. Jesus Christ. I mean, it serves me right, to be fair, but there we are. 3 hours and 37 minutes ago, by the way, just for those who are wondering, we're almost 4 hours into this podcast episode. We said we were going to go deep in our primer for the 5-star Grand Prix. Can you remember at the start of this podcast when we said we were going to go deep? But yes, that brings us mercifully maybe to the end of this 5-star Grand Prix primer episode. We've both got different winners. We've both got different finalists as well. I think Maika versus Saya Kamitani is a really good bet. I think with them turning Saya Kamitani heel the week before the 5-star starts, it will be stupid not to then capitalize on her and get her to the final. I don't think there's ever been a heel winner of the 5-star Grand Prix, ever. I don't think they're going to do Saya Kamitani winning the tournament now that she's a heel. Were she not a heel, I have every faith that she would have won the tournament, and I think she should have done. And I think she should be facing Maika at Dream Queendom. However, we're not getting that. I think Saya makes it to the final. It's just a case of whether Maika or Tam, who have both got reasons to hate Saya Kamitani, which one of them beats the Phoenix Queen in Musashino Forest Plaza. It's an intriguing thought, Matt, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Going to be, again, it makes for a very open, wide tournament. Again, I think the smarter thing would have been babyface Saya Kamitani winning the whole thing. But regardless, we're a positive podcast. The positive we get is it could be Maika, it could be Tam, it could be Sherry, it could be Saya Kamitani, it could be Suzu Suzuki. Who knows? It's really going to make it for an interesting tournament. The one we don't know who's going to win the tournament. The one thing we do know, as far as match quality goes, this is going to be absolutely fantastic. And I'm so excited to not only watch these shows, but to be able to podcast each and every episode with you, my friend, as I believe as it's tentative set that we're supposed to be doing the finals as a live podcast. Again, card subject to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if Riwaka wins the 5-star, then I will not be doing that live. The Violent Freezer. Just to remind everyone, all of these shows, with the exception of the opening night and the final night on the 31st, will be streaming live on Stardom World. Just to remind you, we have got night 1 on the 10th, night 2 on the 11th, 2 shows on Monday, the 12th of August, with an evening show and an afternoon show in the Utsunomiya Light Cube in Toshigi. Night 4, definitely put this one in your calendars. 15th of August, Korakuen Hall, night 4. Then we've got night 5 in KBS Hall in Kyoto. That is an exclusive Blue Block night. Night 6, 18th of August in Kobe. Night 7, which is going to be the 20th of August. That's in Edion Arena, Osaka. Number 2. Night 8 in Sendai Pit, Miyagi. That is on the 23rd. 24th and night 9, the Pass Izaka in Fukushima. And then night 10, as I've already mentioned, is going to be your final night of block action, Yamagata Big Wing, 25th of August. Quarterfinals on the 28th in Shinjuku Face. The final and semifinals on the 31st of August in Musashino Forest Plaza. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a bloody pleasure talking to you.
We're not done yet.
Oh my God, no, we're not.
I can get it done in less than a minute. Go ahead, give me the intro. I'll get it done in less than a minute, I promise.
Genuinely. In fact, note to future editor Rob, put the countdown soundtrack on right now. Matt Turner, off you go. Go.
Theo and Kyrie watch. The new team of Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler beat down Lila Valkyria. The newly babyface team of Damage Control come out to make the save. We set up. Sonya Deville is supposed to wrestle Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai gets jumped by the new big bad heels that they're calling the Shooters, which I'm all for. This sets up. Dakota Kai cannot wrestle Sonya Deville. So Io Shirai taking on Sonya Deville, which Io Shirai does get the win in this match. It does set up the next week #1 contenders women's tag match. Io and Kairi, yes, Io and Kairi as a tag team going up against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Rob, real quick, did you see the awesome spot that Kairi and Io did in this match, even though it was a singles match?
Was this the double jumps to the outside, Io doing the moonsault and Kairi doing the insane elbow?
Yes, that's it, my man. That's it. I know this podcast went long, so I want to get that in and get it done with, get it over with. Not over with because it was a really, really good match, but it was a really cool spot. And the fact we're getting Io and Kairi as a team proper, we never really seen them team up that much. Obviously, in Freedom, it was always Io and Mayu, and then Damage Control, it was always Kairi and Asuka. So we're getting Io and Kairi as a tag team next week, my man. That's amazing.
Absolutely, it is. Cannot wait, brother. Thank you so much for that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week to review the shows, presumably from the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. I'm just having a look at our recording schedule. Yeah, because we record on a Wednesday, which will be the 14th, so it won't be the Corrigan Hall show. That will be the week after. As Matt's already mentioned, we will be looking to do another live review of the 5-star finals. Again, card subject to change, so please bear with us. Do not forget your 5-star pick'ems. The contest is live on our Patreon for everyone from $1 and above. Get your votes in. The form closes at 12 o'clock on the 9th of August. So get your quarterfinalists, semi-finalists, and your winner, as well as the person that you think is going to finish with the least amount of points. Get that in on Patreon. The winner, of course, will get a little bit of merch from our store, or apparently one of my books, according to Mr. Matt Turner. So please get your votes in on Patreon. It is pinned to the top of the feed. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We truly do appreciate it. It's not too late to sign up to our Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you can get all of our episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month. You can find us on social media at the Stardom Cast. You can also check out the website for all of the news surrounding Stardom and Marigold, www.thestardomcast.com. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Mr. Matt Turner, where can they find you and sign us off?
Yeah, real quick, guys, I just want to say thanks to each and every one of you. We once again finished in the top 50 of the top-rated wrestling podcast this past week. We were actually rated higher than Freddie Prinze Jr.'s podcast, Matt Hardy's podcast, the AEW podcast, and even the gold medal winner himself, Kurt Angle. So it really blows us away that we were rated. Again, by the time this comes out, we may bump down regardless of the fact that we're in the top 50 again and ranked higher than some of the best wrestlers of all time. Really blows us away. And thank you. Thank you so much. It really humbles us and just makes us want to work harder. Folks, questions, comments, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. The email is thestardomcast22@gmail.com if you want to send me an email. And that's going to wrap it up for another loaded episode. 3 shows in a row that we went over 3 hours, but you guys seem to like it. So we'll pump out as much great content as we can. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you because, like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast because we're all together. Everyone's different. Everyone's special.